There is no terrible way to win. There is only winning.
Let me drive. I will make a fool out of you.
Every one of us has to find a reason to do this. You do it because you're driven.
I was beginning to think I'd never be anything more than a piston-happy, lead-foot punk. Then this starts to happen.
Somebody put it in your mind you gotta be perfect every time out or you're a failure. Well, forget that. Just forget it.
You ready to put away your toys and grow up? Are you ready to make more money in 1 year than your father made in his whole life? Are you ready to become a real race car driver?
When I won it was probably the last time I ever felt pure victory.
Because I'm quicker than all of you.
And if you no longer go for a gap that exists, you're no longer a racing driver.
But hell, isn't that what we're in this for? To stare death in the face and to cheat it? Come on, there's nobility in that. It's like being knights.
No pressure, nobody breathing down my back, just driving because I left it pure.
A lot of people go through life doing things badly. Racing is important to men who do it well. When you're racing, it's life. Anything that happens before or after, it's just waiting.
I just hope when you do, that I'm there to see it.
Racing. That's the name of the game, isn't it? Win or lose, put up or shut up.
Fine. Then let's race.
Hi, I'm Tom Ingram and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Jacques Villeneuve, you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Bruno Senna, you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Chris Hoy and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Landon Norris and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
In around 60 seconds time, we'll be back in action once again at the 2019 Motorsport UK British Car Championship season opener for the IAME classes in Cadet, Mini, Junior and Senior. Jake Sanson here from the commentary box position, overlooking the start-finish line in what is turning into a sensational first weekend in the Motorsport UK British Car Championships. We have already seen some stellar races, 13 of them in total. We now need to run just 3 more before we get to the first official round of the championship, and they are the repêchages, the B-finals, if you will, that will decide which drivers are going to go through to the final. Now, as far as I understand it, it is going to be the first handful of drivers that will go through to the first round of the championship. In previous cases, it's been the top 4. I think it is the top 6 drivers that will go through to the finals beforehand. So it is the top 6 drivers that will progress through from the repêchages to join the other 28 contenders in the rankings. So 28 drivers have already booked their places. The next 6 that will go through will be the first 6 across the line in each of these repêchages. The green flag flies at the top of the gantry, and we're getting underway for the Junior X30 repêchage. Here's the grid. Mikai Singh and Rashan Chigarimbo on the front row of the grid from Alex Moody and Chris Harnan. Darrell Taylor and Zach Meakin from Kasper Skuza and Max Meyer. Oscar Joyce and Dylan Hodgkin from Drew Davidson and Harvey Ryby. Archie Walker and Wilgard Edqvist from Aaron Reshepi and Sam Hawthorne. Harry Cottrell and Jacob McComb from Ben Jenkins, Aaron Walker and Marcus Littlewood. It's been a difficult day for these guys. It's not quite been the way they wanted it to go, but if they cross the line within the top 6 drivers, then they will be able to continue into the first point-scoring round of the championship. The other drivers who don't make it through will still score championship points, but of course they will be outside the rankings for the top final points positions. So their scores will count based on where they finish in the repêchage, essentially from 7th down to the back. So it's the last opportunity for these drivers to get themselves into the final. And only the 34 drivers that make... Oh, one of them's gone already. One of them has gone already. It looks like Oscar Joyce has pulled off on the exit of turn 3. That's a real shame for Oscar Joyce. The premium karting driver has had to pull off up the bank on the exit of turn 4, and that is such a shame. He's already had a very difficult day at the office, and I'm afraid to say that Oscar Joyce is now out of round 1. What a shame. So the lights are on and we're going for a false start straight away, as a couple of the drivers are not yet in position. And I think it was the 56 who was not in position. That is Mikai Singh at the front end of the field. Apparently was not quite into the starting position. It looked like Mikai Singh, who was going through, could well have been one of the other contenders in the field, but certainly for this start, it's a difficult one, but Mikai Singh is not indeed at the sharp end of the field and now needs to get to that front end of the field. There he is, Mikai Singh, currently at the back of the field, and I have a feeling that he's not going to be able to take up his residence at the sharp end of the grid, so we'll have to double check on that one. But the drivers are now forming up. And we'll watch to see if Mikai Singh is going to take his position. Yes, he is going to try and filter his way through to the front of the starting grid once again, where he should take residency in pole position for the Piers Sexton Racing team. And once he's there, of course, he can take the front of the grid. And he does do so, so that's good. But unfortunately for Oscar Joyce, his race is over. His weekend isn't, because, of course, next day, tomorrow, we have got an entire new round starting. Fresh time qualifying, fresh heats, fresh race. So it's a brand new restart, essentially, on the weekend as we go into tomorrow. But now we're contending the repechage for the first round of the finals. Here we go. It's Singh, Chigarimbo, Moody, Harnan. Now we're going to get a good start, and it's a cracker from Mikai Singh at the front of the field. Moody's going to try and get into the lead early doors. Chigarimbo chops him across, so he remains in third place for the moment, Moody, as they go under the Litchfield Bridge. And now they will battle up the hill. They come round the far side. Chigarimbo to the lead. So Chigarimbo has got through into first position as they all filter their way over the Litchfield Bridge and down the back straight. Couple of drivers running wide. That looks like one of the Coles drivers going a little bit too deep. That might be Chris Harnan, who is battling his way forward. They come on via the side. No, that's Chris Harnan in second. My apologies. Chris Harnan's made a blinding getaway. And the Dutchman is there in P2 at the moment, trying to make the move on Rashan Chigarimbo. Third position. That is Daryl Taylor for the Cutting Edge Racing team. So not the best of starts for a few of the drivers in the mix as they all squabble away for position, but they're all trying to book their place in the final as very quickly and as very smartly as humanly possible. It's not going to be easy for all of them, and not all of them are going to get there. That is for certain. So they will continue their fight down the main straight, over the line, and your race leader is now Daryl Taylor, having fought his way past Chigarimbo and Harnan. So Taylor leads from Harnan, Chigarimbo, Moody, Meakin, Singh, Davidson, Walker. That's Archie Walker. Then Max Meyer, Casper Scusa, Dylan Hodgkin, Sam Hawthorne, Aaron J. Walker, Harvey Ryby, Aaron Rashepi, then Littlewood, Edquist, McComb, Cottrell and Jenkins. But down the back straight and back into the lead has gone Chris Harnan. Looks like these three are going to squabble for the lead for the rest of the repechage. Up the inside, that's a bold move for the crucial sixth position that he needs to go through. That is the 95 of Drew Davidson after his earlier problems. So he has managed to get himself into the top six. But here come the leaders. Chris Harnan in front of Daryl Taylor. Third position, Rashan Chigarimbo still going well. Up the inside goes Chris Harnan to take the lead back again from Daryl Taylor. Taylor's back on the inside for the undercut, but Harnan has got the lead. So the Dutchman has grabbed the early advantage. They swing their way out onto the main straight once more. And it's Chris Harnan, the Flying Dutchman, who leads the way. 28, Daryl Taylor in second. Rashan Chigarimbo from Alex Moody, Zach Meakin, Drew Davidson and Archie Walker. Only the top six drivers can progress through to the A final later. As they cross over the bridge, it's Chris Harnan who leads, Daryl Taylor, Rashan Chigarimbo and Alex Moody. Fifth place is Zach Meakin of Fusion Motorsport. And then sixth position is Archie Walker. He gets into that sixth position spot. And in the battle to hold on to seventh place, that is a very close tussle and squeezing onto the grass. That was Max Meyer being squeezed onto the grass there by the 95 of Drew Davidson. And I think he squeezed him a little bit too much because there was literally no road to run on. And that, I have a feeling, is going to be looked at again. So a bit of a problem there for Max Meyer at the feet of Drew Davidson, desperately trying to hang on. But the top five are well clear as Archie Walker now has a bit of a pressure cooker from behind in the shape of Drew Davidson. And the 51 is getting into the mix there as well, Sam Hawthorne. Harnan leads, Taylor, Chigarimbo, Moody and Meakin. And the five of them are absolutely glued together with Archie Walker in sixth position. As up to seventh comes Sam Hawthorne. He makes the move on Drew Davidson. So he gets through. Very nice battle between the two of them. As down the back straight, Harnan still leads. Chigarimbo's in third, but not for long. It's fourth position now for Zach Meakin as he gets past Alex Moody. And it's not going to be too long before he ends up on the back of Rashan Chigarimbo. Meanwhile, Archie Walker has progressed to sixth position, but has got a lot of pressure from Sam Hawthorne. Hawthorne is causing him a bit of discomfort as the leading five are still dueling away. But Sam Hawthorne has got Archie Walker on the run. Is he going to make the lunge into Bobby Game? He is! And a nice move there from Sam Hawthorne. Archie Walker has to come down to seventh place again. So Sam Hawthorne is in that crucial sixth position that he needs to get into the main race. Chris Harnan running well from Daryl Taylor, Chigarimbo, Meakin and Moody. Then it is Hawthorne, Archie Walker, Drew Davidson and Aaron J. Walker. Up to ninth place from Dylan Hodgkin and Casper Scusa. Then Rashepi, Littlewood, Edquist, Mears, Singh, Cottrell, Ryby, McComb and Jenkins. You've got to feel a lot of You've got to feel very sorry for Mikhail Singh down in 16th place now, the Pierce Sexton Racing driver. Up the inside for the lead. That's Chigarimbo. Dives on the inside for Chris Harnan. Takes over the position. A really exciting battle and a great tussle currently on the board. So they are still charging their way forward. Side by side, that's going to be Darrell Taylor on the inside of Harnan. Moody on the inside of Harnan. And now Meakin is going to try and get the move done into Bobby Game corner to finish it off up to 4th place. He's got there. So nice bit of driving, but fortunately, Meakin was able to finish off the move. Unfortunately for Chris Harnan, he has gone from 1st to 5th in the shape of a few corners, but that's still good enough to get him through, so he needs to stay patient. Chigarimbo in front of Taylor, then Moody, Meakin, Harnan, Hawthorne, Walker. That's Archie Walker still in front of Drew Davidson, then Aaron Walker, that's Aaron J. Walker I should point out, and Dylan Hodgkin. They come out through the square right, down the back straight, and into the hairpin. Is this going to be a defensive move from Chigarimbo? No, it's going to be an attacking move from Meakin. He gets into 3rd position. He makes the move on Moody. Meanwhile, Archie Walker has got back through on Sam Hawthorne. Now, Archie Walker back into 6th position, working with Sam Hawthorne to close up on the top 5. They are not far away as Harnan makes the move now on Alex Moody into 4th position of the S's. And Archie Walker and Sam Hawthorne both have a chance to close up on the top 5. And it's going to be a tight squeeze when they get there because there's only going to be 6 places and 7 drivers to go battling for them. 6 places in the final, of course, is what we meant. It's a longer race, this one, too. Over 5 minutes left of it, so there's a long way to go. Under the Litchfield Bridge. Skating out through the hairpin. And up into the tight square left-hander onto the Litchfield Bridge. Over the top of the flyover. Through the right-hander. Back down the hill. Along the back straight. And up towards the hairpin at turn 6. It's still Chigarimbo leading the way. A good run from Darrell Taylor, but not enough to get into the lead of the race. As Moody makes a very late lunge and gets through on Chris Harnan. Archie Walker is now dangerously close to moving past him. So Archie Walker in 6th position, thanks to the assistance from Sam Hawthorne, has got a great chance as Jacob McComb further back makes a good bold move on Harry Cottrell. So he's made up another place. But through the long sweeping right-hander to Bobby Wilson Complex, Bobby Game Corner and Mike Wilson Complex. That's what happens when you merge those 2 names together. They come through the final corner, and it's Chigarimbo in front of Taylor and a very slidey Zach Meakin. But 5th place is up for grabs as Archie Walker is now right on the back of Alex Moody. Chris Harnan having got back through into 4th position. But Archie Walker senses that 6th position is not going to be good enough to guarantee it. He's going to get up the inside, and Archie Walker through into 5th position past Alex Moody. Nicely done. So he's into P5, and that makes him a lot more secure. He's got a good run off the turn. He's going to get on the inside of Chris Harnan, and Archie Walker through into 4th position. A great run from the youngster. One of the youngest in the field in this Junior X30 Brigade. Picked up by the McLaren DNA project for the young drivers. Alex Moody's lost his 6th position now, I'm afraid. He's down to 7th behind Sam Hawthorne, who's tagged onto the back of these 2 up front. Archie Walker now in 4th and Chris Harnan in 5th. But it's Chigarimbo, Taylor and Meakin who are battling for the repechage. And it's Meakin trying desperately to get into 2nd place on the back of Taylor, but Taylor's so busy focused on Chigarimbo. It's not going to happen for the moment. Chigarimbo still leads the way comfortably as they go through the first chicane under the Litchfield Bridge. And a brilliant race this is turning into again as they come up through the hairpin, winding down the far side. But there is a long way to go in this race, and they all know it. Down the straight, down the back straight, up towards the hairpin. And here comes the move from Meakin. At long last, he's found his moment and got through on the inside of Darrell Taylor as Hawthorne makes the bid to get on the inside of Chris Harnan. Alex Moody's going to open up the opportunity for Aaron J. Walker. Harnan through, Aaron J. Walker through, Alex Moody out of contention for the moment. Archie Walker given a couple of kart lengths breathing space in 4th to try and close up on the leaders up in front. So Chigarimbo, Meakin and Taylor in the top 3 positions. Archie Walker is 4th. And looking good at the moment to progress through to the main event. Oh, and there's an off. That's Chris Harnan. Chris Harnan's had a moment. So Chris Harnan battling away, I think, with Sam Hawthorne has ended up running off the road. And now we're going to get Alex Moody, Andrew Davidson battling away for the final 6th place spot. Alex Moody hanging on to it for dear life from Drew Davidson. Chris Harnan having gone off the road in the final sector. And that's a big problem for the Dutchman. Down the back straight. The top 5 are now well clear. 6th position is up for grabs. And it's Alex Moody hanging on to it. As here comes Aaron J. Walker up the inside using Chris Harnan as a bit of a buffer. And Aaron J. Walker dives up the inside. That leaves the door open for Butterworth to have a comeback on the far side of the 95 of Drew Davidson. But on the inside of him comes one of the KR Sports. That is going to be the 75 of Aaron Reshepi. The Swiss driver trying to make his way up the inside. And he's made the move on Dan Butterworth. But some really difficult situations in that battle for 6th position. The top 5 look pretty safe, but everybody else is going to have a very difficult race in front of them now as we go into the last few corners. And the 80 of Aaron J. Walker is given a warning by the stewards. They clearly felt that that was a misdemeanor too far. But the race still continues on in the repechage as Zach Meakin now heads the race as he's got through on both Daryl Taylor and Rashan Chigarimbo. Chigarimbo's not done yet. He is going to charge after Daryl Taylor once again. He's going to have to come from a long way back to steal the lead from him in the first hairpin. He does not, but he is setting him up for a run at the second hairpin. So Chigarimbo still pushing hard. Daryl Taylor in second place. The top 5 well clear now. So there's only one place on offer, and that's 6th position. Moody versus Harnan at the moment, with Aaron J. Walker in 8th. 9th is Drew Davidson. Oh, there's a problem. It's Chris Harnan. Chris Harnan's going to receive the mechanical flag. Oh, what a shame for Chris Harnan. That spells the end of his weekend. Well, certainly the end of his Saturday racing. Sorry. He will get another crack at it tomorrow. But with the mechanical flag, Chris Harnan's chances are at an end. And it's because his rear bumper on the right side is dragging on the floor. And that's such a shame for Chris Harnan. He was so close to that 6th place spot. He's one behind Alex Moody. And that is devastating. He goes past Alex Moody to take the place. But he's looking behind him to see what the issue is. And with Aaron J. Walker in the mix there behind him, gunning for a move to 6th position. He's a little bit frustrated, is Chris Harnan. He will know that he's got the mechanical flag. And I'm afraid it's game over for the 29. There's nothing he can do about it. Up front, it's a 4-way scrap. Archie Walker has caught the top 3 drivers. Chris Harnan, meanwhile, though, has proved the point. He's got himself into 6th position. And he's going to... No, he's not pulling off. Well, Chris Harnan has continued on. That's fascinating as they go into the last lap. Rashan Chigarimbo trying desperately to defend from Daryl Taylor as they battle for 2nd place. Archie Walker right behind them. Chigarimbo having got back into 2nd place in behind Zach Meakin. Archie needs to be careful here in 4th position. He could lose it all if he's not careful. But he's on the tail of Chigarimbo and Taylor, who are scrapping away for 2nd place. Round the outside goes Daryl Taylor to get round Rashan Chigarimbo. He's going to try and get the switchback move. Then decides against it, tucks back across. Archie Walker's going to get the move on the inside of Daryl Taylor for 3rd. He tries to hang it out there and still keeps 3rd, but nudges Chigarimbo in the process. Archie Walker plays it safe, hangs on for 4th. That will do. He doesn't need any higher than that. Chris Harnan is desperately trying to get into the top 6. He wants to get there anyway, just to prove the point, I think, more than anything else. But the victory is going to go the way of Zach Meakin, who's driven so maturely, so calmly in this race. Brilliant! Zach Meakin is through, gets the victory. What a great performance. 2nd for Chigarimbo, 3rd from Daryl Taylor, 4th from Archie Walker, 5th from Sam Hawthorne. And I'm afraid, even though Chris Harnan is going to cross the line in 6th position, he was given the mechanical flag on 2 consecutive laps. So I have a very bad feeling that is not going to be kept, which is a real shame. I would have loved for that to be the case, but I have a feeling it's going to be taken away from him. But unfortunately, that means that it would, well, for Chris Harnan, it means effectively his chances are gone if that's going to be the case, and it is going to be taken from him because the rear bumper is dragging off the car on the right side. 7th on the road is Aaron Walker from Aaron Reshepi, Drew Davidson, Casper Scusa and Alex Moody. From Dylan Hodgkin and Wilgard Edqvist. Then it is Max Meir, Harvey Ryby, Harry Cottrell, Mikai Singh, Jacob McComb and Ben Jenkins. Just the 2 retirements. Marcus Littlewood 2 laps ago. And right at the start, before we even got going, Oscar Joyce, who sadly pulled off at turn 4 on the rolling lap. So that's that race sorted out. We've got a little bit of time, of course, before we get into the next one. and that is going to be the repechage for the Junior X30. Another hotly contested race this, with plenty of drivers to go to battle. It's not going to be easy to sort out the top drivers from those who will just have to try again tomorrow. But the great format for this Motorsport UK British Kart Championships event means effectively that you have 2 days of non-stop action-packed racing and 2 chances to get a trophy on the podium at the end of the day, because on the afternoon of Saturday we will have a podium ceremony later for the 4 classes, which is fantastic, and then we'll do the same again tomorrow. So we'll see some really exciting battles from each of the drivers in turn, and we're going to see some very exciting performances from the rest of the day. But the Junior X30 repechage is next up, and a little over a minute and a half's time they will get going. You've got to feel sorry for Oscar Joyce. He did a very good job there to try and put himself a bit further forward. We've had the Junior X30 repechage. Now we'll move on to the Senior X30 repechage, as a very competitive race once again that is going to turn out to be, with plenty of competitive racing drivers on that grid hoping to continue their weekend. Some will have to have an early bath ready for tomorrow, and then others will be able to continue on into that final. The first of the finals today taking place at 4 o'clock. That is the Mini X30 race. Then 25 minutes past 4 will be the next one. Then 10 minutes to 5 will be race 19, the Senior X30 final. And then at 5:15, it will be the IAME Cadet final. And then we get to do it all again tomorrow, which we're all very excited about. You get 2 weekends for the price of 1, essentially. So it's going to be a really exciting race meeting as we continue to move forward. And obviously there is still plenty of action, as tomorrow, of course, we go into timed qualifying again for the first race action. And of course there's a very professional move to the championship. Really exciting battles in the offing for all of the categories. So the drivers are obviously now in position as they get themselves ready for the Senior X30 repechage, and they will head out onto the circuit for their last chance, gasp, to get themselves into the race. But it's obviously going to be a very tough battle. The green flags around the circuit are indicating that the track is clear. Green flag flies at the top of the gantry. Drivers are sent out now, and it's time to go racing in the Senior X30 repechage for round 1 of the 2019 Motorsport UK British Kart Championships, and it's Senior X30 that are out on track now for the repechage. So the drivers heading out. Here are the ones that will contest the B final. Nelson King and Louis Maurice from Eduardo Cosseteng and Henry Ayres. Alex Lloyd and Lewis Gilbert from Caroline Gandas and Tom Nippers. Alexander Wang and Ben Hodge from Morgan Porter and Callum Barnett. Josh Graham and Lee Chamberlain, Callum Driscoll and Alexander Patterson from Abigail Ross and Cameron Coombs, Jensen Brown, Rufus Hunt, Matilda Olsen, Jake Rubio, Roman LaRue and Harry Barlow. Now, we are told that one of the drivers is not going to be making up the grid, and that is the 29 of Lewis Gilbert, who in that first corner accident of his second heat has damaged his wrist, so he's not going to be competing in the repechage, and there's a big threat that he's not going to be able to compete tomorrow, of course, as well. But we hope that Lewis is going to be okay. And we know that, in essence, he's all right. But obviously, an injury to his wrist means he's not going to be competing in the repechage. And that's a real shame. And we hope that he's going to be on the mend very quickly indeed. So, King, Maurice, Cosseteng, Ayres, Lloyd, Candace, Nippers, Wang, Hodge and Morgan Porter. As they come around again, it's going to be a really exciting battle between the drivers. Revs rise, and it's a false start. Everybody's so desperate to get off the grid that they obviously were charging out of position a little bit too eagerly. And that gives us a little bit more time to reflect on a very disappointing start to the season then in the British Championships for Lewis Gilbert. A real shame, considering he was running very well in Senior X30 over the course of the winter, and obviously out in Europe as well as the reigning junior European champion. That's a real headache for his start to the season. That puts him out of today's racing. Hopefully not tomorrow's, but if it does, then it means we will have to wait until the second round of the championship at Shennington, which of course is going to be in May, until we can see Lewis Gilbert at his best in Senior X30 once more. But of course, all the drivers will want to get across the line first in this top 6 race. Repechage sees a few drivers that we were not expecting to see in that. Nelson King particularly battling away. Alex Lloyd, Lewis Gilbert of course, but not competing. Morgan Porter, Alex Wang is in the mix of this race. So too the likes of Jensen Brown, Rufus Hunt, Matilda Olsen and Roman LaRue, the Strawberry Racing too. So that's a very big surprise to see them down the order. So it means we could see plenty of overtakes from this Senior X30 race. And it's time to get them underway. So the engine revs rise. Let's go for a battle. Lights out. Let's race. Cracking start from the front from Louis Maurice, but not enough to hold on to the top 3 as he falls out of position immediately. Nelson King is going to be the one that leads them round. Louis Maurice, I think, has fallen away down to about 5th position early doors. So they cross the Litchfield Bridge and over down to the back straight, and already somebody running wide. That is on the far side of the straight. That's Louis Maurice going up the inside of the person running wide. Who was that? Going a little bit deep. It's the 61. That is Tom Nippers, the Welshman. But the leaders are battling away. It's Nelson King and Alex Lloyd who have got into the first 2. From Eduardo Cosseteng, the Filipino driver, in 3rd position. So far, so good for those 2 out front. Nelson King and Alex Lloyd. Henry Ayers is up there somewhere in the KR Sport. I think he's in about 4th or 5th position. Still trying to force the issue, but Eduardo Cosseteng is currently 3rd. Then it is Louis Maurice who is there in position. So Louis Maurice is there in P4. Caroline Candas has come up to 5th position as well. A cracking start from her as Callum Barnett is now in P6. From Nippers, Wang, Hodge, Porter, Patterson, Brown, Ayres, Coombs, Graham, Hunt, LaRue, Driscoll, Chamberlain, Olsen, Barlow, Ross and Rubio. Down the back straight, it's still going perfectly well for the 2 up front, Nelson King and Alex Lloyd. Eduardo Cosseteng going well up the inside. That's one of the Mick Barrett karts making progress. That's Alex Wang in front of the 42 of Ben Hodge. And that is a good move from the pair of Litchfield drivers. We've got the 2 French racers, Louis Maurice and Caroline Candas, who are now in P4 and P5. So the drivers doing a very good performance there as they go through the far side of the course. Is that Alex Lloyd in the lead now in front of Nelson King? Not quite. Nelson King still holds the position for the moment, but Alex Lloyd is definitely dialing him in. I think the idea is that the 2 of them will just disappear out front and get away from the pack. The man sitting pretty in 6th position at the moment is the Mick Barrett Racing driver from the Isle of Man, Callum Barnett, who is in front of his teammate from Singapore, Alexander Wang. But Wang is going to want to continue on, and his teammate stands in the way of him doing that for the moment. The 2 French racers for Litchfield Racing are in behind the Filipino Eduardo Cosseteng, who is 3rd. So Cosseteng 3rd. Then it is Louis Maurice and Caroline Candas of the French Brigade, 4th and 5th. So they go through on the far side of the hairpin. 6th place is still Barnett. But there's going to be a challenge now for the lower end of the top 6, as in behind Wang, that is the 42 of Ben Hodge for Mark Litchfield Racing, trying to charge his way further forward. Then in 9th, it is Morgan Porter. He's made up a couple of places. Tom Nippers in 10th. Then Patterson. Henry Ayres has really struggled. Jensen Brown has made up 6. Roman LaRue has made up 9. Coombs, then Josh Graham, Rufus Hunt, Callum Driscoll, Matilda Olsen having a terrible weekend so far. Then Harry Barlow has made up 4 places from Lee Chamberlain, Abigail Ross, Jake Rubio. Although Harry Barlow has had a problem again. So Harry Barlow has had yet another difficulty on this lap. He seems to have stumbled down the order, having made up the places. He's now down at the back once more. I'm not sure whether that was a mechanical problem or something else. Here come the French guys. Louis Maurice is into 3rd position. Oh, Caroline Candas has been charged up the inside by Alex Wang. And Caroline Candas has been edged sideways there. So the French lady was up in 5th position, but now has been manhandled out of the 5th place spot by 3 of them up the road. Now, Caroline is a very fierce racer. She's very competitive and is one of the stars of the French circuit. She is not going to be intimidated, so she will come back to the action again. Her teammate, Louis Maurice, is now in 3rd in front of Eduardo Cosseteng. So Louis Maurice in 3rd place, trying to chase after the Dan Holland Racing twins. 5th and 6th, here comes Caroline Candas up the inside of Callum Barnett with assistance from Jensen Brown. They both sweep by, and Candas is not happy. Alex Wang, I have to say, quite rightly, receives the warning flag for that manoeuvre on Caroline Candas. And Candace is going to try again up the inside of Jensen Brown. The Brown is having to resist it, but Candace is going to really struggle to hold off Morgan Porter. Porter is there on the inside with assistance now from Callum Barnett. Candace continues to hold on. Not easy, but wow, Caroline Candace's first appearance in the British Championship has definitely produced some really exciting racing. She knows how it's going to work now for the rest of the season. And she's had a very tough time in the combat zone. But Caroline Candace is giving as good as she gets. Nelson King still leads. Now, Alexander Wang apparently, it says on my timing screen, is under investigation. Now, I wonder if that's for that manoeuvre earlier on. The 42 is in behind. That's Ben Hodge. Then it's Nippers, Brown, Porter, Barnett, LaRue, Patterson, Coombs, Driscoll. I think Caroline Candace has actually had to retire from the race due to the damage received. Yes, Caroline Candace has pulled off the circuit, we are told. And that is a real shame. He was going so well up until that point. But unfortunately... Oh, no, she is still going. My apologies. She's got an issue with the transponder now, though, as a result. And she's gone into the side of LaRue. So LaRue under braking Caroline Candace, I think just getting a little bit too flustered as a result of the earlier impact from Alex Wang. Went a bit too deep on the brakes and nudges Romain LaRue. And that's cost Caroline Candace dear. Meanwhile, further back, we've got a collision. That's Rufus Hunt, who has come together with his teammate. That's a big disaster. So Rufus Hunt has come together with Cameron Coombs. And now the two Mick Barrett Racing drivers will have some explaining to do to the boss when they come back to the awning later. Well, what a shame. Rufus Hunt and Cameron Coombs, unfortunately, now way down the order. Now, Caroline Candace has come through in 13th place, so she's still not really going to make the top 6, unfortunately. But she's proved a point here. She was very much in command of things until that little nudge from Wang. Meanwhile, Wang has been passed by Ben Hodge. So Hodge has come through into 5th position. Who's next behind Wang to challenge? That's going to be Jensen Brown. But Morgan Porter's going to need to work with him if they're going to catch up now to Hodge and Wang. Meanwhile, out front, no problem at all for Nelson King and Alex Lloyd. They have just stayed rooted to the spot out in front, stretching their lead ever further away. And that's a very late lunge on the inside for Abigail Ross on Josh Graham, and it didn't work, so I think she's lost out to Jake Rubio now. But good fighting effort all the way through the pack, from the front to the back. And now there is an investigation going on, apparently, for Rufus Hunt, who is out of the race. He's pulled into the pits after his collision with Cameron Coombs. Coombs has carried on, by the way. But we're told on the timing screen that Rufus Hunt is now under investigation. They clearly felt that perhaps it was him who was the fault of that particular incident. We'll see what happens as a result. It's getting very hectic in the battle for 3rd place as Cosseteng and Louis Maurice are having a big scrap with Ben Hodge. Hodge is going to try and squeeze his way through. Alex Wang up the inside, trying to get to 4th position and nudging his way through on the curbs as Hodge is going to get past both of them. But Louis Maurice is going to hold on round the outside to get 5th position, still his way in front of Alex Wang of Singapore. Wang is trying again, but Louis Maurice will not budge. The Frenchman still doing a grand job there in 5th position. Good effort from the Litchfield driver. Meanwhile, moving up through the ranks, Jensen Brown is up to 7th, as we know. Romain LaRue has climbed up to 11th. Matilda Olsen is finally getting back into the show as she moves up to 14th place. Unfortunately for her, I think it's going to be too little too late, and she'll have to try and come out with a better qualifying performance tomorrow as the racers battle away for supremacy in the 2nd round tomorrow. Oh, and that's a big bold move up the inside. That's Morgan Porter, I think, getting a move up the inside there, battling with Louis Maurice. He's caught up to Jensen Brown and got past. Oh, and Louis Maurice had the door firmly shut for Morgan Porter. Porter's still on the inside anyway, and Porter gets through. We could see quite a few potential discussions after the race as to who is genuinely going to go through. But as far as Porter and Brown are concerned, they are going to go through, and Louis Maurice is not. So we'll have to see what happens in the final reckoning, but there's going to be a couple of conversations after this race. But out in front, no issue at all for Nelson King and Alex Lloyd, and apparently they feel that Morgan Porter was a little bit too far over the limit to get through Louis Maurice in such a fashion. He's given a warning flag for that over the start-finish line. So Louis Maurice is given a warning. Meanwhile, behind the top 6, which is now King, Lloyd, Cosseteng, Wang, Porter and Brown, it is Hodge, Maurice, Barnett, Nippers, LaRue, Patterson, Gandas, Olsen, Ayers and Graham. From Abigail Ross, Callum Driscoll, Jake Rubio, Lee Chamberlain and Harry Barlow, with Cameron Coombs still circulating, but all the way down the order in 22nd. So King and Lloyd are just on their own. Cosseteng is having a cruise control race in third place. Wang is being caught rapidly by Porter and Brown. So Morgan Porter and Jensen Brown are going to reel in Alex Wang. The other drivers in the fray are just hoping to hang on to things at the moment. Several of the competitors have been in the top 6 position and have ended up running out of road. But with 2 minutes on the clock, King and Lloyd are just carrying on out in front. A new fastest lap for Alex Lloyd of 57.98. Cosseteng in third from Wang, Porter, Brown and Hodge. So Ben Hodge and Louis Maurice in 7th and 8th are trying to get themselves back into the fray as the drivers' cavalry comes over the top of the bridge. And Louis Maurice is still there in 8th position at the moment, in front of the 77 of Callum Barnett of the Isle of Man. But up the inside of Wang has gone Porter and Brown. So Wang is down to 6th. If Hodge can repeat the move, then Wang is going to have to go back to the hotel a little early, ready for tomorrow's race. So Wang is trying to hang on to this 6th position spot at the moment in front of Hodge. But behind him is the Frenchman Louis Maurice, who is there in 8th place. But onto the main straight with just over a minute to go. That's 3 laps to go by my reckoning. Is Nelson King and Alex Lloyd 1 and 2. 3rd place Cosseteng. And then this 4th place scrap between Porter, Brown, Wang and Hodge. Then it's Louis Maurice in front of the 77 of Callum Barnett. From Tom Nippers in 10th. Then Roman LaRue, Alex Patterson, Henry Ayres in front of Matilda Olsen and Josh Graham. Now, is Caroline Candas still in the field? Because we know she's got a problem with her transponder. And she is indeed there, yes. 13th in front of Henry Ayres and Matilda Olsen. Then Josh Graham, Abigail Ross, Callum Driscoll and Harry Barlow from Lee Chamberlain and Jake Rubio, with Cameron Coombs still at the back after his incident with Rufus Hunt, who is out of the race, as, of course, is the man who didn't start the race. That is Lewis Gilbert, who picked up a wrist injury a little earlier in the day. So on the far side of the circuit, through the Mike Wilson complex, come Nelson King and Alex Lloyd. Not usually in the repechage, but now they are just stretching out the advantage out front. It doesn't matter where they finish from their point of view. They can just be first and second, a country mile out of the rest of the field. And it is a country mile ahead of Eduardo Cosseteng. The gap has opened up to 6.5 seconds, with 4th place Jensen Brown now ahead of Morgan Porter. Alex Wang in 6th place, looking to go through at the moment. But they're coming up through the hairpin, and the battle is really about to get started at this point. So the drivers will know just what's at stake. They will challenge very hard indeed as they battle away for position. But there's always going to be a tough fight. The racers know just what is going to be on the march for them. They come through onto the far side of the circuit, and that's going to be Jensen Brown chopping across on Morgan Porter. 24, Alex Wang. 42, Ben Hodge, trying to break into that top 6. He hasn't quite managed to yet, but the leaders are coming through to start the last lap now. Nelson King and Alex Lloyd in command of the race, nose to tail. No issues for either of them as they try and fight their way forward. They cross the line to go into the final lap. They don't even need to battle with each other. They're going to just continue on their race. Cosseteng in 3rd. Then it's Brown, Porter, Wang and Hodge. 8th is Callum Barnett now in front of Louis Maurice. And then Tom Nippers in 10th from LaRue, Patterson, Candas, Ayres and Olsen. So a really tough battle for the drivers. Have not managed quite to make the cut. But it's always going to be a really tough battle. They've done the best they possibly can. But here is that battle for 4th position. Brown still in front of Porter, Wang and Hodge. And Hodge knows that there's a chance he could get through based on the battle up front. But he doesn't want to take that chance. He wants to try and close up on Wang. Wang doesn't want to be in 6th position any longer than he has to be. He's going to try and make the move on Morgan Porter before the finish. But for Nelson King and Alex Lloyd... Oh, Alex Lloyd's in front, is he? That is Alex Lloyd. He's popped out in front of King. So Alex Lloyd has come through for the victory. Alex Lloyd has done it. So Alex Lloyd has beaten Nelson King to the point. I'm not entirely sure where he made that move. I missed it. Apologies. 3rd is Cosseteng. 4th is Brown from Porter and Wang. So those are the top 6 over the line. Then it is Ben Hodge in front of Callum Barnett, Louis Maurice, Tom Nippers, Roman LaRue, Alexander Patterson and Caroline Candas. Then it is Matilda Olsen in 14th from Henry Ayres and Abigail Ross, Josh Graham and Callum Driscoll. Then Harry Barlow, Lee Chamberlain, Jake Rubio, And the last one home is going to be Cameron Coombs after his collision with the man who retired, Rufus Hunt, and the man who didn't start the race after his injury in race 2 to his wrist was Lewis Gilbert. So hopefully he'll be back in tomorrow's race, depending on how serious the injury, but we hope it's not going to put him out of too much racing over the course of the next few weeks. But certainly it's put him out of today's repechage, so Lewis Gilbert will not be going through to the main event later. And that is one of the big surprises of the racing thus far. And I think a lot of people will be very shocked and very surprised as to how that has worked out. It's not been the best of days for the Dolrai Diamond, and he's going to have to work hard to try and bring that sort of thing back again. So, a tricky day at the office, you can say, and I think you'd be right too. Always going to be very tricky from the early part of the day, but I think everybody's going to have to work very hard indeed as they battle away for position. And everybody's obviously going to want to put the position further forward. So the drivers are now getting themselves geared up, ready for another crack at it in IAME Cadet. And it's the repechage for these drivers. And again, the top 6 over the line are going to be the ones that will progress through to the final a little later on. Several drivers, 28 of them in fact, have already booked their places in the IAME Cadet final later for the first round of the championship. But there's 6 more to find, and they will all want a place on that grid. Not all of them have had the races they wanted over the course of the 3 earlier heats. And of course, for those drivers, it's a chance to move their way back into contention, but they can only do so if they get into the top 6 positions. Otherwise, they are going to have to accept the fact that they will be in second. They'll have to cope with the second round, which is tomorrow, starting with a fresh timed qualifying. So it's the last chance for the IAME Cadet runners to get through into the top 6. You never ever give up. You never ever quit. That is the mode for the drivers in IAME Cadet in the repechage. And even if you cross the line in 7th or 8th, you stay hungry, you stay motivated, because you never know when one of the drivers up front could get a penalty and it could still continue on. So you manage to keep yourself as hopeful as you can be. You keep digging, you keep pushing. You never ever say die. And for a lot of these drivers, of course, in IAME Cadet, they are learning by doing. You can't really develop unless you are put into these situations and expected to sink or swim. A lot of the drivers that are at the front end of IAME Cadet now were right at the back of it 18 months ago. So you've got to remember that is how difficult it is for the drivers to learn and develop. You have to start somewhere. Everybody does. And for these guys, it's an important challenge and it's an important test of their character and strength. So here they come out onto the circuit. And of these drivers, there are 8 of them. The 6 drivers that progress through first are going to be the ones that will end up in the final. So it's Sky Parker on pole position from Ben Smith. Daniel Sofronia and Fraser Anderson are on the second row of the grid in front of the Chinese star Newman Chi from Jack Cunningham in 6th position. George Edgar and Jack Moat are 7th and 8th. Doesn't sound like a lot of karts, but it's still an important race to win. It's still an important race to do your best, and particularly for the cadets, they need to demonstrate that they can fight at the front end of a race, because it's a front end of this race and it's going to be a midfield of the next one potentially, but you still have to learn to cope under the pressure. A lot of these drivers, this is their first chance to go for a race victory in a major British Kart Championship event, and they need to take that opportunity with both hands. They'll gain so much in terms of confidence, in terms of development, in terms of energy. Everything is so important at this stage. And it's a very physical race, of course, as well. 12 minutes plus the additional lap for the repechage. It's a long race for an IAME Cadet driver, so it's an important test of character and ability as well. So, the drivers are in position. Parker and Smith, Sofronia and Anderson, Chi and Cunningham, Edgar and Moat. And the drivers will come up over the line. Is it going to be a clean start? It certainly is. Away we go. Ben Smith trying immediately to outfox Sky Parker to the first corner, but she's got the handle of it as they go through the first chicane, and Sky Parker leads the race. Up into 3rd position. That looks like a brave move from Fraser Anderson on the inside to move up into 3rd position. That is Anderson through, I do believe. Newman Chi is trying to tuck up on the inside there as well, the Chinese driver, as they go down the back straight. A little bit of a jostle. Oh, a bit of a wobble from George Edgar, but he's going to get back onto it. 3 wide for 3rd position as Newman Chi is swamped. Oh, and a spin! A spin there. Now, who is that that's gone around? Newman Chi has carried on, and right down to the back of the field, that is a spin, unfortunately, for the 45, I think it is, that's gone around. That is Dan Sofronia. So Dan Sofronia of the Strawberry Racing team has spun to the back of the grid. But it's not over yet. He's only 8th, and the top 6 drivers go through. So there's still a long, long way to go. Keep digging, keep pushing. You never know when your moment's going to come up. So out in front, it is still Sky Parker who leads the race and is actually getting away from the rest of the field. A very character-building race this is for Sky Parker. If she can lead and dominate, then it definitely gives her plenty of good confidence moving into the rest of the weekend. Ben Smith in second in front of Jack Cunningham, who stormed up 3 places off the grid. Then it is Newman Chi from Fraser Anderson, George Edgar, Jack Mowat, and a few seconds back, Dan Sofronia, but there's a long way to go. It's 10.5 minutes to go in this race. It's a long repechage. So they come down the back straight. Sky Parker still running well from Smith and Cunningham. Newman Chi's got a good run. I think Chi's going to go for 3rd position. Here goes the Chinese driver. He's going to get chopped across. Oh, that's close between Cunningham and Newman Chi. And Cunningham holds on to the place for the moment. 3rd position would be more than enough, but Jack Cunningham is determined to hang on to it as Sky Parker continues to lead. Now Cunningham's making the bid to go past Ben Smith. That's why, clearly. Chi decides to go for the same move, but he's not close enough and ends up rubbing the curbs to avoid the contact as up the inside comes Fraser Anderson on Newman Chi. And Anderson is going to get through on the inside of the Chinese start. So Newman Chi has to hang back in position. But out in front, it is Sky Parker who leads the race. From Cunningham in 2nd, and in 3rd is Ben Smith. Then in 4th, that is Newman Chi. So Newman Chi still running well, ahead of Fraser Anderson and George Edgar. A warning flag has now been given to the Chinese driver Newman Chi. Now, I'm not sure what incident that is for. It could well be for the Dan Sofronia pirouette. I'm not sure if that was caused by Newman Chi. There were definitely 3 of them wide in the braking zone, and Sofronia was the one who spun around on the first lap. But he's got plenty of time to close up again. Here comes the move on the inside from, big lunge as Newman Chi suddenly realises he's going to get a bit of a tangle for 3rd position. He's already got past Ben Smith, as of course, as we already know, had Jack Cunningham. But now Fraser Anderson trying to come through up the inside of Ben Smith, and Cunningham gets through. That's Fraser Anderson through. My apologies. Fraser Anderson of the Oliver Rowland Motorsport squad gets through. And that puts Fraser Anderson up into 4th position. So a good run there ahead of Newman Chi now. George Edgar, Jack Mowat and Dan Sofronia. So they will continue to battle away for position. There is still a long race to go for these guys. 8.5 minutes plus the additional lap. Sky Parker is just having a Saturday drive in the countryside, isn't she? Charging away out front. No problems at all for her. Jack Cunningham in 2nd. Newman Chi now 3rd from Anderson, Smith, Edgar, Mowat and Sofronia. But there's still a long way to go. There's plenty of time for Dan Sofronia to get back into that top 6 position. He just needs to keep digging and keep the faith. So Sky Parker leads the race. Jack Cunningham is now 2nd. In 3rd is Newman Chi, but there might be a Oliver Rowland Motorsport 1, 2, 3, as down the inside of Jack Cunningham is going to go Anderson and Chi splits them up the middle, gets into 2nd place. Anderson pops up into 3rd, and Cunningham down to 4th position in front of the 2 fusion karts of Ben Smith and George Edgar. Jack Mowat is 7th. Dan Sofronia still pushing hard to try and catch up with the top 6. But Ben Smith and George Edgar working very hard in 5th and 6th places now to try and make up the time. And up the inside, Newman Chi's going to lose 2nd position surely to both of the ORM karts. Yes, indeed. First Anderson, then Cunningham through to 2nd and 3rd places. Good run from both of them. As Sky Parker continues to run out in the lead. She is absolutely dominating this repechage. Great run from Sky Parker. 2nd position, though. It's a tough fight as they continue to battle away. Jack Cunningham in front of Fraser Anderson now. So Anderson's lost the place, but Anderson's going to have another crack. Newman Chi is there in 4th. Ben Smith in 5th position. And George Edgar up the inside. That's going to be Fraser Anderson to 2nd, is it? Oh, side by side of the bridge. And very close. There goes Newman Chi. Newman Chi through into 2nd as a result of that tussle. And now here comes the 47 of Ben Smith. Up the middle of both of them. Newman Chi is on the inside. On the outside was Jack Cunningham. And a little tap from Fraser Anderson. He manages to get the kart stopped. That's the 19 that got a tap. Jack Cunningham, he's in 4th place now. But Newman Chi into 2nd. 3rd is now Ben Smith. 4th is Cunningham. And then it is George Edgar in front of the 69 of Fraser Anderson. If these 5 continue to squabble, there's every chance that not only Jack Mowat, but Dan Sofronia could still close up. A really close battle as they go through to the Mike Wilson complex. The victory is almost signed, sealed and delivered out front, even with 6 minutes plus the additional lap to go. Sky Parker just jogging on ahead, leaving them all to it. Newman Chi, the Chinese driver, in second place. But here comes the third place cavalry. Ben Smith being caught rapidly by the 19 of Jack Cunningham. Cunningham's got him on the ropes surely now. Down to the first corner. Will he dive to the inside? Yes, he does. And comes sweeping through the hairpin. Third position. Nice move from Cunningham. Really nicely handled. And he finishes the job off on the exit too when there was retaliation from Ben Smith. So Cunningham chops across. Now Edgar's going to have a go at his teammate Ben Smith. And Fraser Anderson's waiting in the wings for sixth position. Not the greatest of runs out of the turn for Cunningham. As back up the inside, Ben Smith gets on the inside for third position of the hairpin and gets back through. But here comes Cunningham again. He's going to have to chop across on Edgar. Beautifully psyched out. And now he's going to set himself up for a run on the inside of Ben Smith. Smith chops across. And here comes Edgar. Anderson's going to go to the inside of Edgar. And he's up to fifth position. But Jack Cunningham is not done yet. He's still swarming all over the back of the Fusion of Ben Smith. They tuck out through Bobby Game corner up towards the Mike Wilson complex. And Cunningham is setting himself up for another run here at third position. Meanwhile, up front, Sky Parker leads the race. And Newman Chi for Premium Karting is starting to jog away in second place now from these four, battling away for third. But Cunningham's going to get some support from his teammate here. They're going to go through to the first chicane. Cunningham's dialing in Ben Smith. Anderson's not far away. Is he going to do the same move again? Yes, he does. Dives up the inside. Goes for third position. Takes it again. And this time, Anderson's going to go with him. Anderson dives. Oh, good defense from Ben Smith. He moves the cover, but Cunningham's got the place. And as Smith defends valiantly, he's actually going to have Anderson charging through up the inside. So Anderson's going to move to cover off the move on Smith and gets into fourth position. Good work from Fraser Anderson. Nicely done. Now, that's third position for Cunningham and fourth for his teammate Anderson. So the two Oliver Rowland Motorsport karts are P3 and P4 in front of the Fusions. Now, their next target is going to be Newman Chi. Could the ORMs get a 1, 2, 3 in the repechage? It's genuinely possible with the raw pace that we're seeing from Cunningham and Anderson, particularly in that middle sector. Cunningham and Anderson are very strong in the second sector. They just have so much power. And in terms of the rate of development, they are really rapidly getting quicker in those third and fourth sectors. Sky Parker leading. Newman Chi, big twitch from the Chinese driver out of the final turn. That's going to be enough for Cunningham and Anderson to get a whiff of it as they come through to the chicane. They're not going to get him into the hairpin. They're too far back. But Cunningham is on a very good run here. He's just set the fastest lap. Jack Cunningham, a 1:10.39. Fastest lap of the race. So Cunningham is on the charge. He's getting very close to Newman Chi up front. Off turn 5. Down the back straight. He's in the draft of Newman Chi. He's not quite going to get close enough into the first hairpin, but he'll definitely have a look into the second. He's got plenty of time to do this. 3 minutes plus the additional lap, but I don't think Cunningham's going to want to wait around. Newman Chi taking it very carefully into the first hairpin, running wide in the second, and that's enough for Cunningham to sweep through on the inside, but Newman Chi's got good power out of the turn and will cut back across. Oh, saves the bacon, Newman Chi. That was so tight from the little Chinese star. He's done a brilliant job to hold on to this second place for the moment, but both Cunningham and Anderson are giving him plenty to think about. Sky Parker, meanwhile, is on the main straight as the second place battle is coming out of Mike Wilson complex. She's absolutely goose-stepping to the victory out front. But this is the battle of a second. Newman Chi has now got Cunningham and Anderson, third and fourth, right behind. They sweep through the chicane. Fifth and sixth are still Ben Smith and George Edgar. Jack Mowat is being caught rapidly now by Dan Sofronea. He's made up masses of time. So let's see what happens from this moment on. Down the back straight comes the battle of a second place. Newman Chi just hanging on in there from Jack Cunningham, who once again is turning up the wick. He's got a better run off the turn into the hairpin. Surely Cunningham's going to get this one nailed. Lovely job. No problem at all on the inside. Now he's going to get the kart stopped in the middle of the apex as Newman Chi is going to outfox him. He overshoots. Cunningham has to draw out with him, and Anderson cuts through into third position. They're going to go side by side. Newman Chi holds the inside line and cuts across on Anderson. Cunningham gets the draw around the outside to get back into third position. That was lightning reactions from Jack Cunningham. That could so easily have gone wrong. But he was so careful where to put the kart, and he's still in contention. Anderson has to come off the power and drops back into fourth position. Sky Parker over the line. Second place comes out of the final corner A minute 16 on the clock plus the additional lap. And Cunningham and Anderson will be getting so frustrated sat behind Newman Chi. Newman Chi still in second place. Here goes Jack Cunningham. He's not going to make the move through the hairpin this time. He wants to keep the Chinese driver guessing as he comes up into turn 4. That's more like it. Cunningham sweeps through and grabs second place. Lovely job. And there's not a lot of response Newman Chi can have for that one, except get back on the power. Now, where does Cunningham place the kart? He's given him plenty of room. And Newman Chi's going to get back through. But Jack Cunningham's going to have an opportunity on the undercut. And he's got plenty of power out of the turn. She is almost married to the inside apex. And he's overshot the mark a little bit, but he manages to tidy it up on the exit. That's held Cunningham at bay. Anderson's going to get an opportunity onto the inside line. But not as Jack Cunningham just chops across. Forget about it, mate. This is my race. I'm going to get Newman Chi. Thank you. Meanwhile, the checkered flag is being prepared. It's only a couple of laps away. But Sky Parker is going to get 2 laps to go. As she crosses the line with 9 seconds to go. About 5 seconds later, the battle for second place comes through. Make that 6, in fact, as Newman Chi is still dueling with Jack Cunningham and Fraser Anderson. But Jack Cunningham is still there in P3. Not close enough to Newman Chi to get back into that second place spot, but there's still a lap and a half to go. There's still plenty of time. Cunningham's coming from nowhere back into second place. Beautiful. I thought he was way too far back to pull that one off, but he carried the speed through the hairpin. Lovely job. Chi's going to get him back on the inside line, but if Cunningham's wise, he will prepare for the way out and get him on the switchback. Oh, the kart drifts a little bit in braking. Third position is still going to be Cunningham's, but with assistance from his teammate Anderson, he can get there. Chi's run a little bit too defensive on the way out. He's going to need to power out of the corner, but he does so. Great defense from Chi. Anderson trying to get on the inside of Cunningham, and still Smith and Edgar waiting in the wings for 5th and 6th. Terrific racing. And as they go into Bobby Game Corner, out of the Mike Wilson complex comes Sky Parker to start the final lap of the race. This is a really good run from Sky Parker. She's done an absolutely terrific job out in the lead, and an amazing job as he goes through again. In second place, Newman Chi. He's got a lot of work to do. Newman Chi in second, being chased down by Cunningham and Anderson, Smith and Edgar, and then Mowat and Sofranea. This is going to be an epic last lap for the drivers in IAME Cadet. Newman Chi pulls a little further across to the inside line through 4. Down out of the turn, down the back straight. Jack Cunningham's got a chance. Newman Chi being ultra defensive. He came off the throttle halfway down the straight, expecting to have to defend, and it was a little bit too eager. That's given Jack Cunningham a chance to close up. So Cunningham and Anderson are going to want to outfox Newman Chi at the last possible moment. They want to steal that second place, but it's going to be in the Mike Wilson complex. That's for certain. So Chi is still second. Cunningham third. Up the inside, George Edgar's going to try for his teammate Ben Smith. Doesn't make the move. But out in Mike Wilson complex, it is a victory being dialed in for Sky Parker. Absolute dominance in the repechage. It's not an easy position to be in, but she's taken full advantage of it. And Sky Parker romps away to the victory. Brilliant effort from Sky Parker, but in second place, hanging on, is the Chinese star Newman Chi in front of Jack Cunningham and Fraser Anderson. Great racing in the repechage. A fantastic effort. And 7th place is Dan Sofranea in the end, as unfortunately Jack Mowat has an incident on the final lap, and that puts him down the order. But it's all experience, it's all learning. You've got to learn on the job. And Sky Parker does a fantastic job to get the victory in the repechage in front of Newman Chi, Jack Cunningham, Fraser Anderson, and Ben Smith, with George Edgar in 6th. And if it stays like that, those 6 will be the ones that go through to the final, with Dan Sofranea and Jack Mowat having to come back tomorrow and do it all over again. But what a great race battle it's been. And I think those 6 at the top end have a lot to be proud of themselves for. There was great racecraft in that mix and really good racing. And that's all going to improve the confidence, improve the levels of commitment and ability. It all helps at the end of the day. So they've got to take those lessons and learn from them. It's all perfectly fine from their point of view. They've got a lot of positives they can take from that. So we now move into the main event. This is the big one. The races that will decide championship points in each of the 4 categories, starting as we are with the Mini X30 final. This is a very important race for these guys. They've obviously been testing and training over the course of the last few weeks, knowing that this first round of the Motorsport UK British Kart Championships would be here at PF International. Many of them have been competing in Trent Valley Kart Club's Winter Series, and we saw many of them have an amazing duel here at PF International over the last 4 months. But now it is time for the first round of the British Kart Championships, and that's where we're really going to see an incredible duel for the top step of the podium. And this race is, of course, not just for championship points, but it's also for the trophies and the awards ceremony later on as well. Trophies given out for each round of the 2019 series, not just for the televised final as it is that's going up on the social media channels. It is for each of the competitive category races. So we're going to see some terrific action over the course of the day. But now it's time for the main event, the Mini X30 final, and it's going to be a very tough one. We've had this grudge match building all through the day. Alfie Rigby for KR Sport versus Oliver Greenall for Fusion Motorsport. Former teammates, now they are at separate teams, and it's going to be really exciting to see how this duel progresses, and it could well be a season-long rivalry in Mini X30's British Kart Championship title between these two, but there are plenty of others waiting in the wings who could steal a title away. You've only got to look at Luke Watts, steadily consistent over the first 4 months in his Mini X30 package with Kato Motorsport. He's a potential champion. 4th place on the grid. Ed Pearson for the Coles Racing team. He has a massive amount of speed, and in terms of his raw pace, the racecraft is really improving. Then, of course, we have 5th on the grid, Jessica Edgar, with plenty of opportunities to move her way forward, having already been a race winner this season at PF International across the Winter Series. Theo Makuris, everything this kid touches seems to turn to gold at the moment. He's very much in possession of the ability to go for the victory and has made an amazing transition out of Honda Cadet into Mini X30. Bart Harrison and Olivier Algieri, both consistent and solid. They have the opportunity to hit the top 3 in this final. All they have to do is keep digging, stay hungry, and stay motivated. They can easily get to the top 3. And then on that 5th row of the grid, you've got Ian Aguilera, the Mexican, who's been ridiculously fast when the moment is ripe. And alongside him, another very talented racer in Evan Brown for the ST Racing Squad. There's so much talent in this field, and everybody will want to get the best possible start to their British Championship campaign. It is very nearly 4 o'clock. Cometh the hour for the British Kart Championships run by Motorsport UK. And it is the first round of the IAME Mini X30 British Kart Championship that we are expecting to get underway in fine style. The marshals are getting back on posts, and they've been absolutely fantastic over the course of the weekend. A massive thank you to the marshals, predominantly from Trent Valley Kart Club's marshal team, but great to have them all here. Without them, we could not race at all. So here they are, out onto the circuit, ready for the Mini X30 final. The stands are filling, and the fans are ready for a race that could start us on a brilliant championship fight. Alfie Rigby, pole position. Alongside him is Oliver Greenall. Luke Watts and Ed Pearson are on the 2nd row of the grid, from Jessica Edgar and Theo Makuris. Bart Harrison and Olivier Algieri are on the 4th row of the grid, from Ian Aguilera and Evan Brown. Then Marcus Luzio and Aidan Line, from Gabriel Stilp and Dan Bolton. Alexander Renner and JJ Russell. And on the back row of the grid, it's Antonis Sofronio and Ashton Parsons. All the preparation, all of the action that these guys have had over the last few weeks and months that have been building to this moment is about to brew over into a competitive race start. And this is a very tough battle ahead of them. They know it's going to be difficult. They know it will be intense. But this is what they've all been waiting for. And in terms of the race action, it's going to be absolutely nail-biting stuff. The drivers getting themselves into their position along the 2 tram lines on the main straight, and when Nigel Edwards feels that the race grid is formed, they will be released up towards the first corner. Rigby, Greenall, Watts, Pearson, Edgar, Makuris, Harrison, Algieri, Aguilera and Brown. They come out of the final turn, all 18 drivers into their tram lines, and the Mini X30 British Kart Championship season is go! And charging down to the first, it's going to be the left side of the grid that gets the best start. Greenall's going to guide through as they cross over the grass. There's going to be 2 of them. that will go across the grass, but Greenall gets the best start round the outside of Rigby and gets into the lead. Now, based on his Winter Series form in the Trent Valley Kart Club, he may not be beaten again today. Down the main straight, Greenall's got Rigby and Watts in tow. They're charging away. And up on the inside line, Pearson's going to try and get right round the outside of Makuris, though. Oh, no, that's not Makuris. That's Algieri, Makuris' teammate. And chopping across on Bart Harrison as well, who's had a pretty good start by the look of it. They come through and off the turn. No, that's the 79. That's Ian Aguilera, who's had yet another spectacular start. The Mexican is so good off the line. He's made up 3 or 4 places once again. And he's trying to chop his way through on the far side of the course. As they come out of Mike Wilson Complex, it is Greenall in the lead. Watts has got through into second place past Rigby. He's made himself very large in the rear view. Whenever he checks over his shoulder, he is there. And now Luke Watts is going after his Winter Series Championship rival up at the front end of the field. So Greenall leads, Watts second. Here comes the move up the inside from Watts, and he takes the lead. Rigby's going to go with him into second position. So Rigby has got round the outside on the exit of turn 5, and now he's going to go straight for the lead on Watts. Down the straight, hold it. Watts is going to defend, but Rigby's there. Nicely done. Rigby stands on everything and gets through onto the inside line. Now Watts is going to try and have to defend as Greenall comes through on the far side. It's a 4th and 5th for the 2 guys for the Croc Promotions team. Algieri in 4th place, Makuris in 5th position. Ian Aguilera dialing in quite nicely into 6th position. And then 7th place, that is Ed Pearson, having made his move on Luzio and Brown. So they come through the Wilson Complex once again, and it's Rigby out in front. Watts in second. Third is Greenall. 4th position and 5th, Algieri and Makuris for the Croc Promotions team. They're going to be absolutely at each other's throats as they come down the main straight. This is going to be an epic squabble. Under the bridge. And charging through to the hairpin. No moves in the top 5. They're going to keep it together. They want to try and distance themselves from the rest of the field. Don't forget, it's a long final. It's a full 15 minutes plus the additional lap this final. We're on lap 3, and they have 12 and a half on the clock. Watts is going to try and make the move on the inside of our new second place man, Greenall. Greenall's got through back into second place once again on Watts. Is he going to make the move early on Rigby? Yes, he does in the second hairpin, and he's through. But Rigby tries to hang back. He's on the grass. He's on the runoff area, and Algieri goes through into 3rd position. Makuris squeezes through into 4th place. Rigby runs out of road and drops back into 5th position. So a really intense battle then in the top 5, and it's going to get pretty scary from here on in. But they come through the Mike Wilson Complex again, and it's Greenall in the lead. Watts in second place. Algieri, Makuris, Rigby, Aguilera. They work on the magic once again, still fighting for supremacy, still trying to push their way further up the road. This is not going to be easy. They charge under the Litchfield Bridge. That's a move. I think that's Brown on Luzio. No, it's even further up. That is Pearson on Aguilera. Aguilera is down to 7th place. And Ed Pearson moves up into P6 with Marcus Luzio. Now in 8th place, getting some support from Jess Edgar. Jess Edgar's charging through. Luzio's going to make a late lunge. Gets a little bit up the inside there of... Oh, Aguilera running wide. Edgar's now going to go on the inside of Luzio. As up in the front, it's still Greenall and Watts. From Makuris now ahead of Algieri. They've swapped over as Aguilera now gets back on the inside of Luzio, and Evan Brown sweeps up to the inside and gets the place back as well. So some great squabbles, really good battles as they continue to dial in around the circuit. But up front, it is Greenall, Watts, Makuris, Algieri, and Alfie Rigby trying to catch up to the top 4 again after running wide. So through the chicane. And this is not going to be easy for Watts. He's going to try again onto the tail of Oliver Greenall. They ride through the far hairpin up towards turn 4, tight into the apex. A little blip of throttle, square left, lots of curb, and up the inside goes Makuris. Gets second place from Watts, and that's going to be enough space for Algieri to get through into 3rd position as well. No matter what Watts tries, he backs off and then dives back on the inside of Algieri. Brilliant from Luke Watts. Oh, he outfoxed him beautifully. Algieri now trying to come back at him again in the next hairpin, but Watts has seized the day. He backed off, let Algieri go through, used the rest of the momentum, dived back on the inside and mugged him back. Brilliant from Luke Watts. Absolutely sensational racecraft. Really impressive stuff. And now they're going to come through up at the Mike Wilson Complex, tucking back on through into the chicane. And it's still Greenall from Makuris. They have got away from the rest of the pack. Watts back to third from Algieri and Rigby. And those three are very close together now. Rigby is back in the hunt. But Rigby won't want to make the overtake on these guys yet. He'll want them to get out of the way and them tag onto the back of him to close up on the leaders. Rigby on the inside. He makes the move now on Algieri. So Rigby is through into P4. Oh, runs very wide off the turn though. He's got to be careful. Track limits are still being monitored, of course, with this being a Motorsport UK meeting. They have to be very strict on it. So you've got to be careful not to ride the curbs too high, or you run four wheels over the white lines and you do it too many times, you're going to invoke a penalty. So out in front, it is still these two. Greenall versus Makuris. Makuris has tightened right up to Oliver Greenall, but he doesn't want to make a move anytime soon. He just wants to get away from the rest of the pack and make it a two-horse race. So Greenall hangs on to the lead. Makuris in second. And Oliver Greenall is doing exactly what he has done every month this year. Lead the final at PF International. On all four occasions, it's turned into a victory. Can he do it again? They continue to battle on. Greenall in front of Makuris, third place for Watts. And up the inside, that is a very bold lunge from back Jessica Edgar on the inside of Ed Pearson. She hasn't quite been able to make that one stick as Makuris continues to work with Greenall to stretch away out front. Rigby going for third up the inside of Watts and edges his way through on the inside using plenty of curb, but that's a perfectly legitimate move from Rigby into third place. And now it's Algieri trying to get on the inside of Watts. Edgar's got past Pearson and now she's attacking Algieri and Watts. So it's all change in the battle for third position. Still lots of movement, still lots of different battles coming through. But up in front, it's still Greenall versus Makuris. Still, they are nose to tail. Makuris all over the back of Greenall, edging away from the pack. Greenall wondering, when is Theo going to make the lunge? When is he going to start making moves? I would hazard a guess that he is literally just waiting for the time to tick down to 0, and then he'll go for his move. But that's a long wait, 7.5 minutes. It's a long race in Mini X30 for the final. For some of these drivers, it will be one of the longest races they've ever done, with it being a 15-minute final. Down the back straight and into the hairpin. Up the inside goes Jessica Edgar into 5th position on the number 38 of Algieri. So into 5th position goes Jess Edgar. Greenall and Makuris still scrapping away for the victory, but no change in position. Rigby is now back to 3rd. Watts is 4th. Then it's Algieri, Edgar and Pearson. 8th place, that is now Evan Brown, I think, on Bart Harrison. And then Ian Aguilera, the Mexican, in front of Bolton, Luzio, Alexander Renner, Aidan Line, then Stilp, Safronio, Russell and Parsons. Here come the leaders down the main straight. No change. Over the line. 3rd position, Rigby. Gets the move into 3rd position and is now controlling the pace up front as they battle away for position. These 5 have decided to slot into position now. No major difficulties for them. The 2 leaders come through over the top of the bridge, and they are still focusing on the road ahead. They don't mind too much about what's happening further back. As up the inside goes Jess Edgar, making the move on Algieri, and she's through again into 5th position. So Algieri has to settle for 6th place, and is now tucking back on the inside of Jessica Edgar in the hope he can get a better run out of the second hairpin, but Edgar's too strong for that. Still, they battle in the midfield too. Some great racing. Really good battles and some amazing tussles. But we're not done yet. As now we've got Theo Makuris onto the back of Oliver Greenall. Down the main straight. Still tucking away down that long straight. And along the start-finish line, Alfie Rigby under the Litchfield Bridge in 3rd position in front of Luke Watts and Jessica Edgar. Rolling and blending off the power. And up the inside, that's Pearson making the move on Algieri. And further back, that is Bart Harrison making the move on Evan Brown. So Bart Harrison through into P8. Edgar's going to try and get up the inside of Watts. There's not a lot of room, but she's made it stick. Nicely done there from Edgar. Up on the inside line. And now she is rolling in behind Alfie Rigby. So they continue through the chicane. Left, right. And again, we are still watching this battle for 3rd position around the circuit. Rigby, Edgar and Watts. But there's no change up front as Greenall and Makuris are just ticking down the laps. Why do they need to battle at this stage? The race victory is only going to be decided on the last lap. From their point of view, they just want to disappear out front and extend the gap. So this is going to be an intense fight into the final couple of laps between Greenall and Makuris. They both want to finish the championship round one in the lead of the championship and with the victory. So they're going to have to work at it, but Makuris is just paying his dues, taking his time. He's not rushing things. He's got plenty of time. As Edgar makes the move on the inside of Alfie Rigby into the hairpin. Watts has got that door wide open still, and he goes through into 4th place. Pearson in front of Algieri further back, and in front of Evan Brown, that is Bart Harrison. 10th place is Dan Bolton ahead of Luzio. And there's a warning flag gone out for Marcus Luzio. And I'm not entirely sure what that's meant to be for, but clearly the officials know. So Luzio in behind Dan Bolton. The leaders, though, still together. Greenall and Makuris, no change. They come off the turn into the chicane and onto the back straight, onto the main straight, once again. 3rd place is now Edgar, as we know. Watts in 4th. Rigby is 5th. But Rigby is not quite able to run at the same speed as the two up front for the moment. Or certainly he is, but he's made a mistake and let them increase the gap a little. But all it's going to take is a manoeuvre from Luke Watts on Jessica Edgar, and Rigby will be right back in the hunt. But so far, Theo Makuris is just running with Greenall. As they run out front, Watts is trying to psych out Jess Edgar down the back straight, but Jessica's not going to be intimidated. She comes from a very hard, tough, no-nonsense family that have karting through to their bone marrow, and Jessica Edgar is just the latest member of that illustrious karting family to hit the front end of a championship race in British karting. And she's doing a fantastic job of it too. They come through the far side at Mike Wilson Complex. Oh, a little bit of a mistake from Greenall. He's under some pressure here from Theo Makuris. He runs and drifts very wide onto the main straight. And it's going to be a battle between Jess Edgar and Luke Watts again on this lap, I think, for 3rd and 4th. And they are not focusing on the overtakes. They are catching up to the two leaders. Fastest lap of the race now from Jess Edgar, who does a 1 minute, 0.16, 0.3 of a second faster than the two karts up the road. Edgar and Watts are gaining the time. It is going to be a straight fight between the 5 top drivers because Edgar and Watts are gapping to the front two. Greenall and Makuris are doing their best. But there's more speed and there's more pace from Edgar Watts and Rigby at the moment. They are catching. That massive advantage that Greenall and Makuris had is being sliced. First sector, Greenall on a 21.3, Makuris on a 21.2. All 3 of the drivers behind Edgar Watts and Rigby on a 21.1. And fastest of all in the second sector is now Ed Pearson in 6th position. So they're all gaining a little bit of ground on the two leaders. So Greenall and Makuris were hoping to stretch out an imperceivable gap, but 3rd, 4th and 5th are gaining. They are doing a massive job. And Jessica Edgar is leading the cavalry. Down the main straight, under the Litchfield Bridge, all still going fine and dandy. Not the easiest of tasks. 1 minute and 20 on the clock, plus the additional lap. This is not going to be easy to tidy up. Makuris knows that Jess Edgar and now Alfie Rigby into 4th position are closing up the gap. Pearson has got Olivia Algieri with him for company as well, and that's going to make things tough for them to close up. But they will work in unison. Never, ever give up. That is the motto in British motorsport, because you never know what's coming round the corner. And for Theo Makuris, he knows that Oliver Greenall is not fast enough to avert the 3 drivers behind, closing them up. And he's not able to edge them further away. So he may want to go for his move a little early as they cross the line this time by. It will be 2 laps to go, though. So if ever there was a moment for Theo Makuris to start thinking about getting the victory off Oliver Greenall, this would be it. And he's already started thinking about it. He's sizing up the move for Oliver Greenall. He's not going to get the move anytime soon because Greenall's going to be defending like crazy. But can Makuris outfox him? Greenall makes his first look over his shoulder. He knows that Makuris is going to be relentless. But Jessica Edgar is there in 3rd. And there goes Watts. Big dive up the inside of Rigby. Rigby chops him back across. No contact. So Rigby, a perfectly executed manoeuvre to defend. Down the short stretch to the chicane. And Greenall started sliding from side to side. He knows that Makuris is going to be relentlessly quick if he can find a way through. But Greenall is absolutely determined to hold the inside line. Can he hold it? on the way through the Mike Wilson complex. And his swarming and ducking and weaving has brought the others into the game. So now it's a 5-way scrap for victory. It's Greenall, McCouris, Rigby, Edgar in front, and Watts behind as they go into the last lap. So it's Greenall, McCouris, Edgar, Rigby, Watts. And now here goes McCouris up the inside of Greenall. Dives for the inside of the hairpin. Greenall's back on the inside, but McCouris holds it round the outside into turn 4. Brilliant bit of driving from Theo McCouris. He was not going to be intimidated. He shut him down. And now Edgar is working with his teammate down to the braking zone. Greenall trying to get the kart stopped into the back of McCouris' car. Theo hanging on the brakes, and Rigby manages to cut across on Jess Edgar. Edgar on the grass, McCouris runs wide, Greenall gets through, Watts has come from nowhere, nearly up the inside. Rigby now comes off for the outside line, moves up into second place. They chop through at the S's, and Rigby is going to try and get one over on Greenall. Watts is coming through as well. Greenall hangs on in Bobby Game. Through to the Mike Wilson complex on the left-hander, and Rigby's through to the lead. Rigby's got there in Mike Wilson. He's going to snatch into the jaws of victory. Brilliant. Here comes Alfie Rigby. The checkered flag flies, and Rigby's done it. What a victory from Alfie Rigby. Boom. What a sensational final lap from Rigby. He started that lap in 4th position, and he fought his way through to the victory. Alfie Rigby absolutely overjoyed, and he leads the championship in the Mini X30 Motorsport UK British Car Championship. Alfie Rigby, in sensational fashion, is victorious after a magic final lap. That was a brilliant moment. For the first time this year at PF International, Oliver Greenall is defeated in a final. Rigby wins. Greenall second. Third is Luke Watts. A brilliant race from him too to get onto the podium in the final lap. Theo McCouris in 4th. Such a shame for him. He took the lead on the last lap. He had it all going for him. Jessica Edgar finishing up 5th. She'll be disappointed but can hold her head high as a genuine challenger to the victory. Edward Pearson is 6th position in front of Olivier Algieri from Bart Harrison, Evan Brown and Dan Bolton in the top 10. Marcus Luzio is 11th place in front of Ian Aguilera from Aidan Line, Alexander Renner, Gabriel Stilp, JJ Russell, Antonio Sofronio and Ashton Parsons. And that is your final few drivers across the line in Mini X30. What an absolutely outstanding battle we were given. An absolutely terrific race, and there are more to come, of course, as we continue on the day here in the 2019 British Kart Championships from Motorsport UK. We are really excited, but the Mini X30 driver who takes the first victory of the 2019 season is Alfie Rigby in front of Oliver Greenall and Luke Watts. The entire 5 of them covered by a second over the line, and that is exactly the kind of championship battle and race tussle we were hoping for. Great stuff. It's not going to be too long before we get ourselves into the action again for the next race, which is going to be the final for Junior X30. Bring the fun, bring the noise.
That we're all thinking, gotta shout it out while we're around. We've been hit so hard that we're still reeling. We've been taken down, not taken out. Let me hear you make some noise. All we have is this moment now. Come on, let's take the night while we have it. Nothing more left to lose. Let's take a chance while
terrible way to win. There is only winning.
Let me drive. I will make a fool out of you. Every one of us has to find a reason to do this. You do it because you're driven.
I was beginning to think I'd never be anything more than a piston-happy lead-foot punk. Then this starts to happen.
Somebody put it in your mind you gotta be perfect every time out or you're a failure. Well, forget that. Just forget it.
You ready to put away your toys and grow up? Are you ready to make more money in 1 year than your father made in his whole life? Are you ready to become a real race car driver?
When I won it was probably the last time I ever felt pure victory.
Because I'm quicker than all of you.
And if you no longer go for a gap that exists, you're no longer a racing driver.
But hell, isn't that what we're in this for? To stare death in the face and to cheat it? Come on, there's nobility in that. It's like being knights.
No pressure, nobody breathing down my back, just driving because I left it pure.
A lot of people go through life doing things badly. Racing's important to men who do it well. When you're racing, it's life. Anything that happens before or after, it's just waiting.
I just hope when you do, that I'm there to see it.
Racing. That's the name of the game, isn't it? Win or lose, put up or shut up.
Fine. Then let's race.
Hi, I'm Tom Ingham and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Jake Villeneuve. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Bruno Senna. You're listening to Downforce Radio. Hi, I'm Chris Hoy, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Landon Norris, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
The battle continues here at PF International, the first round of the 2019 Motorsport UK British Kart Championships for the IAME categories. Jake Sanson here, trackside at the main straight of PF International at Grantham in Lincolnshire as we get ourselves ready for the next major final of the 2019 season. Junior X30 is going to give us 15 minutes plus 1 lap more of exciting race action, and it's absolutely intense. So much unpredictability in this field as to who is going to come through to the top 3. There's at least a dozen drivers who can win. 20 to 30 of them can come through to the podium. It's very, very competitive in Junior X30, and anybody who ends up on that podium will have earned the right to be there on that dais. It's going to be so close and incredibly intensive, but from the front of the field, Josh Rowledge has so far not put a foot wrong all weekend and has been there in the top spot for both of his previous heats, and that's where he will now find himself at the top spot for pole position. Alex Lee, though, has done an amazing job to get himself on the front row of the grid, and again, deserves the right to be there. So, as the drivers get themselves ready and up the way once again, the green flag flies, and we're ready for race action once more. Let's talk you through the grid. Josh Rowledge and Alex Lee are on the front row of the grid, from Alessandro Sananetti and Oliver Gray. Third row is Sam Shaw and Caden McQueen. Then it's Georgi Dimitrov and Tom Edgar. Aaron Walker and Kalai Atkins round out the top 10, from Joe Taylor and Douglas Bolger. Then it's Tyler Reed and Joshua McLean, Oliver Behrman and Ivan Lomliev, Will Murdoch and Blake Anglis, Oliver Duffel and Charlie Cole, Reggie Dewey and James Walker, from Tom Levin and JP Sleater, Freddie Spindlow and Dan Butterworth, then Sam Henning and Jamie Mead, Zach Meakin and Rashan Chikarimbo, Darryl Taylor, Archie Walker, Sam Hawthorne and Aaron Reshepi. So the 6 drivers that came through then in the end from the repechage were Meakin, Chikarimbo, Taylor, Walker and Hawthorne. In those positions they crossed the line. Aaron Reshepi does get a chance to come through thanks to penalties from the earlier repechage. To give you an idea, just as we fill in the context for what happened in the repechage, Aaron J. Walker was sadly given a post-race penalty, and that's why he fell out of the dais. But it's going to be a fantastic battle in this final race of the day in this first round of the championship for the Junior X30 Brigade. We're under starters' orders very shortly indeed. Let's see what emerges from this race as they go through on the tram lines. Rowledge, Lee, Serenetti, Gray. It's a false start. So straight away, it is a false start down to the first corner, and they will have to go around again and do it one more time, as if the tension and the pressure were not already fever pitch. They are basically given the chance to go round and do it all again. A very exciting and intense battle for the drivers, but Rowledge is going to be at the front end of the field from Alex Lee. Alessandro Serenetti, third position on the grid, having taken a heat victory earlier today. He is, of course, the reigning newly confirmed Trent Valley Kart Club Winter Series champion here at PF International, so he knows this place very well indeed, and he wants to convert that into a national championship race win. And his teammate, Sam Shaw, is only a couple of places behind him on the grid, so he could get some very strong support from the BKC squad right at the sharp end. It's going to be ridiculously entertaining in this Junior X30 final with Rowledge, Lee, Serenetti, Gray, Shaw, McQueen, Dimitrov, Edgar, Aaron Walker, Carly Atkins all in the top 10. A very competitive field. But now it's time to figure out which of those are going to be the ones that progress to the podium and take a firm stronghold in the championship battle. It's going to be tight. It's going to be tense. But they all know what's expected of them as they come out of the final turn and down the main straight. Are we going to get a clean start this time? Yes, we do. It's a cracker from the inside line. Rowledge, Serenetti, and Shaw are all going to push their way through as over the grass goes Oliver Gray. Gets himself slotted back into the back of the top 6. But a very impressive start as they skirt their way through the first couple of corners. And it's Serenetti who breaks into second place in front of Alex Lee. So Rowledge, Serenetti, and Lee as they go down the back straight. In fourth, that looks like Oliver Gray. And then in fifth position, that is the 42, is it? No, that's the 23 of Georgi Dimitrov. So Georgi Dimitrov has made his way through to fifth place. Then it's Shaw, McQueen, Edgar. And then it is the 15 of Aaron Walker. So they charge their way through the field, obviously making up as many places as they possibly can in the mid-pack, losing as few as they possibly can. Up through the Mike Wilson complex and tucking their way through to the left-hander as they come through into the final chicane. Through the left, on the curb, through the right, hugging the apex and down the main straight. Josh Rowledge, so far, so good. 14 minutes to go. They go through the first chicane. And Rowledge is working very hard to get away from Alessandro Serenetti in second place. Alex Lee still there in third position. Oliver Gray in fourth place. Fifth is Dimitrov. Then it's McQueen, Shaw, Aaron Walker, Joe Taylor, Tom Edgar, Behrman, Reed, Atkins, Bolger, Charlie Cole and Ivan Lomliev. No major concerns. As up the inside for third place, that's Oliver Gray. Oliver Gray comes through into third position already. A very good start from him then after traversing the chicane at the first couple of corners. But Oliver Gray has got away from that little moment and he's now back in the hunt in third position. Alessandro Serenetti right in behind our race leader Josh Rowledge and going for broke early as he has a look at Bobby Game Corner, but Rowledge manages to move across to cover the line. Serenetti clearly deciding he wants to lead the race early, but Josh Rowledge is not giving him a lot of opportunity to do that. And the reason Serenetti wants to take the lead is because the queue is forming up behind them. Rowledge, Serenetti, Gray, 23 Dimitrov is now in fourth in front of Alex Lee, Caden McQueen, and then it is Shaw, Aaron Walker, Tom Edgar, Joe Taylor. Up the inside comes Gray for second place on Serenetti. Serenetti holds it round the outside. He knows this place so well, and Gray's not going to be able to get through. Serenetti holds second place. Dimitrov through for third, Lee through for fourth, but Gray's still there to the outside line. Can he pick up another place or two? No, he gets squeezed by Lee and McQueen, who are side by side. No contact, but no road either for Gray to come through. Now he gets a move up on the inside of Alex Lee, but again off the brakes, Alex Lee is able to step back on the power and overtake Oliver Gray, who drops to sixth position. Nobody at fault there, just an easy racing incident. So they come through on the far side of the course, up through the Mike Wilson complex, and again, Josh Rowledge has been caught by Alessandro Serenetti, and now that he's into third, Georgi Dimitrov is on the back of them. Dimitrov wants to go for the lead. Down the main straight. Serenetti is there. He's got to go for the lead of the race. Rowledge is going to be down to third. Serenetti through. Dimitrov through. And Rowledge down to P3. Perfect karting manoeuvre there as they sweep down the straight. And Dimitrov decides to go with Alessandro Serenetti. Caden McQueen gets up the inside of Josh Rowledge into turn 4. And he's through into third position. The Croc Promotions driver having a great race this time. Now, making their way further through the pack, we've got 3 or 4 wide down into the hairpin. That's never going to work, and somehow they just about get through without contact. That's amazing. Tom Edgar through on Oliver Behrman. Behrman, though, now dives up the inside of Tyler Reed, and here comes Joe Taylor and Reggie Dewey side by side. Dewey's trying to make his move on the inside of Taylor and gets through. So that puts Reggie Dewey into about 9th position, I think. Having stormed up from 21st on the grid, Reggie Dewey is right in the heart of the top 10. It's not going to be long before he's challenging the podium runners again. And we know how fast he can go. He nearly won both of his heats. It was only a last lap crash on the first heat that put him down the order for this race. But it's Dimitrov, Serenetti, McQueen, Rowledge, Gray, Lee, Shaw, Walker, Edgar, Behrman, Reed and Reggie Dewey in 12th place now as they continue to make progress. McQueen through to second on Serenetti over the bridge. So Caden McQueen goes through to P2. Dimitrov leads the way. Second place, Caden McQueen. Third is Alessandro Serenetti. So Dimitrov is now your new race leader for Fusion. Then it is McQueen, Serenetti, Rolich in 4th position in front of Oliver Gray and Alex Lee. Then it is Walker, Sam Shaw, Tom Edgar. There's a great battle in the midfield as well as Blake Anglis picks off a couple of places in the mid-pack. Battling away as he is there with Sam Hawthorne and Sam Heading, I think it was, he's battling with. So great little battle. But Caden McQueen is threatening to clear off with Georgi Dimitrov up front. Now that he's got the opportunity to run at the sharp end of the final, he wants to make good use of it. Serenetti trying to stay with them in 3rd place. 4th is Rowledge, 5th is Gray, 6th is Lee. Reggie Dewey has caught up to the back of Oliver Behrman now, and the two of them are going together. Reggie Dewey having made up 10 places. Sam Hawthorne, though, is even more impressive. He's made up 11 to come up to 22nd place. Out on the far side on the back straight. McQueen going with Georgi Dimitrov as they lead the race. Alessandro Serenetti in 3rd. 4th is Gray, 5th is Walker, and 6th place, that is the 17 of Alex Lee. They go through the 2nd hairpin, still rolling off the power. Reggie Dewey has got past Oliver Behrman, and now the two of them are working in tandem to close up on Sam Shaw. It's a long race, this. 9 minutes and 10 on the clock, plus the additional lap after that. There's some really great battles from the drivers still to come. It's a long, long race, and they know it's not going to be decided in the next 4 minutes. It'll only be decided in the last lap. Across the line, 8 minutes 55, plus the additional lap left. And McQueen still trying to check out with Georgi Dimitrov up front and trying to drop Alessandro Serenetti. It's not going to be easy, but Serenetti has got plenty of speed and grip to come. They come off the Litchfield Bridge and down the back straight, back on the power and along the back straight. Caden McQueen just edging Dimitrov further away from the field. Oh, and a big slide on the brakes as the battle for 4th place intensifies. Alex Lee nearly loses it, and Walker nudges the back of Oliver Gray, puts his hand in the air as if to say, come on, move it, get on with it, we're losing them. Up the inside for the lead goes McQueen. McQueen takes the lead from Dimitrov. So Caden McQueen moves up into the lead. A fantastic race battle. And so Caden McQueen is running out in the lead of the race in front of Georgi Dimitrov. And in 3rd position, it is Alessandro Serenetti, the Italian. Down the straight. And over the line once again into the chicane. Going through the right, through the left. Into the Litchfield Bridge. And these three are very tight up together. That's a move from further back. I think that's Aaron Walker trying to make the move on the inside. In fact, it was Aaron Walker trying to get through on Alex Lee and not managing to. Meanwhile, Reggie Dewey and Oliver Behrman are next because they both dealt with Sam Shaw. As up to the inside, Dimitrov covers the line. Serenetti through into 2nd place. McQueen trying to get him back on the exit of the 1st hairpin. Serenetti back to the inside of the 2nd hairpin on the left-hander. McQueen getting the undercut. And on the switchback, he's going to try and come through. Dimitrov doesn't have a lot of power down the straight. McQueen's going to have to go through on the inside line to short that out. And now Oliver Gray's going to get a run on Serenetti. And so too is Josh Rowledge. So they've made a bit of a move. Now, what's happened to Rowledge, actually? He seems to have fallen away from the fray. Rowledge is going backwards. He's fallen off the pack in front. Dimitrov is your leader. McQueen. Then it's Gray. Then Tom Edgar. Serenetti, Lee, Josh Rowledge to 6th now in front of Aaron Walker and Reggie Dewey with Oliver Behrman 9th and Sam Shaw 10th. So I'm not sure what happened to Josh Rowledge. Apparently he had a very difficult couple of laps there. So Rowledge has fallen down the order, and more so as Dewey and Behrman both get through. He has to move to cover Sam Shaw. Meanwhile, at the inside for 2nd, that's Gray and Edgar getting past Caden McQueen. Serenetti down to 5th, but he's still in the mix. Dimitrov's getting a good run. Edgar's going to try and get up the inside of Gray, and he'll get some support from McQueen and Serenetti, who all get through. 2nd, 3rd, and 4th now, those three. Oliver Gray down to 6th position. Still a good jostle for position in the midfield pack. Lots of overtaking, lots of great racing. But Georgi Dimitrov is through into the lead. Tom Edgar, his teammate, is through into 2nd position. And Caden McQueen is 3rd in front of Serenetti, Gray, and Alex Lee. Down the main straight. Then it's Josh Rowley in front of Oliver Behrman, who's got back through on Reggie Dewey. Then Aaron Walker. Josh McLean's made up some good places. He now is in 12th place. Then it is Joe Taylor in front of Leben, Reed, Cole, Lomliev, Spindlow, and Carly Atkins, with Sam Hawthorne in 20th, having made up 13 places. So through they come again. Up the inside, that's Alex Lee, moving to 5th place on Oliver Gray. So he comes through. Oliver Gray working with Alex Lee. Not for long, though. Diving up the inside. and gets back into P5. And he signals to Alex Lee, stop passing me, let's go catch them. I don't think Alex Lee has confidence in Oliver Gray's ability to catch them, though, which is why he keeps trying to overtake him. They're up through the Mike Wilson complex again. And Georgi Dimitrov has actually put himself into a perfect position. He's grabbed the lead and is trying to nail it away. And this is great work from the Bulgarian. Georgi Dimitrov out of the final turn and down the main straight. Leads the race with just under 5 to go. So this is going to be a tall order under the Litchfield Bridge as the drivers continue to battle away. But we'll see plenty of race action from them as they come through on the far side. Down the back straight. And so far, so good for the Junior X30 race. Just under 4.5 minutes to go. And this is the business end as Reggie Dewey comes. Oh, a very long way back comes Josh Rowledge and Aaron Walker trying to dive up the inside of each other. Aaron Walker just about gets it stopped. But both Walker and Rowledge have now dealt with Alex Lee for the moment. Oliver Behrman and Reggie Dewey have got past them both. So Behrman is 6th, Dewey is 7th. Still a long way to go in the race. Still an opportunity for both of them to get to the podium. So the battle continues. Onto the far side of the circuit. Dimitrov leads the way. Second place is Tom Edgar in front of Caden McQueen and Alessandro Serenetti. That's your top 4. McQueen running very deep out of the final turn. Oliver Gray is 5th from Oliver Behrman and Reggie Dewey. It's looking likely to be between those top 7 for the win as Caden McQueen dives up the inside of Tom Edgar. They both drift out wide and Alessandro Serenetti through to 2nd. Serenetti gets through into P2 as a result of that. Caden McQueen defends valiantly and gets through on Tom Edgar, but it doesn't change the fact that Serenetti slipped past them both and is now into 2nd position. Now, Serenetti is on the hunt to close up on Georgi Dimitrov. Dimitrov is your leader. 2nd is now Alessandro Serenetti. Then McQueen, Edgar, Gray, Behrman and Reggie Dewey, the top 7. Still pushing on very hard on the far side of the circuit. They go through the Mike Wilson complex, still putting on a good show. This is going to be a really exciting battle as they continue to charge forward. Always going to be a really close battle. Across the line goes Dimitrov. Serenetti's not far away. 3 minutes plus the additional lap remain. This is going to be a really exciting battle. They will continue to charge forward. An absolutely sensational battle. The drivers continue to work for it. They will work very hard indeed. But it will be a tough fight. Down the back straight. Up the inside. That's a move from Edgar to get back on Caden McQueen. Behrman now 5th. Reggie Dewey now 6th. Oliver Gray down the order. Oliver Gray to 7th place. And there's still a lot of jostling for position lower back in the pack as Archie Walker has picked off about 3 of them in one go, having made a very sweet move on Douglas Bolger, as Bolger is trying to hustle his way through with the 2 or 3 carts further back in the pack. So there's a lot of hustling in the middle field. But here they come, onto the main straight once again. 2 minutes plus the additional lap to go. Dimitrov, Serenetti, and now Behrman apparently through into 3rd position, having made some amazing moves. It's actually Tom Edgar, and that's because Edgar's got a problem with his transponder. So Behrman is through to 4th. Reggie Dewey's up to 6th. And now make that 5th. He's got through on the inside of Caden McQueen. So Reggie Dewey up to P5. And now Gray and McQueen are edging themselves down the back straight. That's Josh Rowledge in 8th place. 9th is Joe Taylor. And in 10th is Alex Lee in front of Aaron Walker, Tom Leben and Josh McLean. And this is turning into a bit of a traffic jam. But I think now Serenetti, Edgar and Behrman are aware of the fact that they need to work together to close up on Dimitrov. Dimitrov has been leading this race for a long, long time, and they need to get that gap down, especially with the time running out. We're going to have 2 laps to go at the end of this one. So they will come through and over the line. Dimitrov is working very hard to get away from Serenetti, Edgar and Dewey. And to be fair, the gap is currently 0.6 of a second. It's actually Edgar, Serenetti and Behrman. But Edgar still having problems with his transponder. He is there in 3rd position. Tom Edgar, make that 4th place now because Behrman has come through to 2nd place on Serenetti. I think they may have discovered potentially that the victory is not going to be on. So Behrman wants as much from this race as he can get. Serenetti in 3rd position. 4th place is now Tom Edgar from Reggie Dewey trying to close down the gap. Is there an understanding and an acceptance that Georgi Dimitrov is just too far away? Is that why Behrman decided to go for broke in second place? Because there might have been a chance if they'd stayed in formation. But I think Behrman was quite aware of the fact that he's not clear whether Dimitrov's going to get beaten today. The checkered flag is 1 lap away. Last lap. Dimitrov leads it. Behrman second. 0.6 of a second back from Serenetti and Dewey. Serenetti and Edgar, I should say. Then Dewey, Gray, McQueen, Rowledge, Aaron Walker, Alex Lee and Tom Leben. I think this race is now for second place. Georgi Dimitrov is too far ahead. Half a second is the gap. But look, Serenetti's trying his best. He's doing everything he can to edge himself closer to the second place man, Oliver Behrman. He's doing everything he can to close up on Dimitrov and to get away from Tom Edgar further back as well. Serenetti's got to blend off the power. They're going for second place now. This is where the race is at. Dimitrov's going to have a perfect run to the victory, but for second place, it's game on. Behrman hanging on to second. Serenetti trying to dive for it. Behrman jumps across. Good dive into Bobby Game corner, and Behrman holds second place. Serenetti trying to hold on for a podium, and I think he's going to get there, but the checkered flag is going to fly. It's Dimitrov. Georgi Dimitrov gets the victory. What a result. Brilliant drive. Second place for Oliver Behrman. Third for Alessandro Serenetti, and Tom Edgar in fourth. Reggie Dewey fights back 16 places to be fifth. What a drive. Oliver Behrman fighting 13 to get to second. Reggie Dewey fifth then. Oliver Gray sixth from Caden McQueen and Josh Rowledge. Then Aaron Walker and Tom Leben in the top 10 from Alex Lee and Josh McLean, Joe Taylor and Freddie Spindlow, Tyler Reed, Ivan Lomliev, Charlie Cole, Sam Shaw, James Walker, and then Sam Hawthorne in the top 20 from Blake Anglis and Archie Walker, Dan Butterworth and Douglas Bolger, Sam Heading and Darryl Taylor from Jamie Mead, Rashan Chigarimbo, Will Murdoch, Oliver Duffel, JP Slater, Aaron Reshepi, and Zach Meakin, with just the one retirement from the race, namely that of the Jamaican driver Kalai Atkins, who had an incident in the final section of the lap and had to pull into the pits. So a big problem then for Kalai Atkins, but he will be back tomorrow to try and battle once more. But a really exciting race battle is on the march. That is for certain. And we're really excited to see what happens continuing onwards, because we're going to see some really exciting race action as the drivers are obviously getting themselves dialed in. Now the drivers are obviously getting themselves together, and the next race is going to be fantastic, as we now have a fantastic battle on our hands for the Senior X30 final. That is the next race on the bill, and again the drivers will be absolutely on it in their quest for the victory. The next race, the Senior X30 final. It's not far away.
Nothing left to uncover, but the scars run
Hi, I'm Tom Ingham and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Jake Villeneuve. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Bruno Senna. You're listening to Downforce Radio. Hi, I'm Chris Hoy, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Landon Norris, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
The next race on the bill here at PF International for the 2019 Motorsport UK British Kart Championships season opener for the IAME classes is the Senior X30 finale. And what a battle this is going to be, with so many talented racers gunning for the top step of the podium. And it will be incredibly intense. Gus Lawrence and Clayton Ravenscroft have done no wrong coming into this first weekend of the championship, and certainly over the course of the first two races of their weekend, they have been absolutely sensational as the drivers are now ready for action. But can anybody beat them today? They certainly have to beat each other if they're going to be on the top step of the podium. Both of them have been heat winners, but neither of them can, well, you can't have two drivers on the top step of the podium, so you have to make sure that one of them comes through. Gus Lawrence and Clayton Ravenscroft are the favourites, but there are 32 others who could take it away from them. The green flag flies, the drivers head out on circuit for their rolling lap, and we're ready for the final. Gus Lawrence and Clayton Ravenscroft on the front row of the grid. From Elliot Harvey and Oliver Hodgson. Cole Kilner and Louis Westover are on the third row. Then Mark Kimber and Thomas Turner from Derek Morgan and Charles Lamb in the top 10. Matthias Zagazeta and Axel Laflamme are together on row 6 from Lewis Malin and Rory Hudson. Alex Pendlebury is beside Thomas Wood, and then Teddy Pritchard-Williams and Matt Armstrong. From Max Jean and Jack Gordon, Matthew Hudson and Reese Ushijima. Piers Henderson and Ryan Green. From Ollie Greetham and Luke Whitehead. Archie Tillett and Sean Butcher. Alex Lloyd and Nelson King. From Eduardo Cosateng, Jensen Brown, Morgan Porter and Alexander Wang. So it's going to be an interesting battle then from the back of the grid. The top 6 across the line in the Senior X30 repechage remain the same top 6 going through. But we will see some absolutely epic racing from these guys as they battle away from the front of the grid. But Gus Lawrence and Clayton Ravenscroft both have a pair of heat victories after the first 4 races. They have been absolutely flawless throughout, but they can't both take the final victory. Somebody has got to separate them when the checkered flag flies. So it is going to be interesting to see which of them is going to get the top spot. But then you have Harvey, Hodgson, Kilner and Westover, all who've been strong over the course of the winter. And then Turner alongside Mark Kimber, the reigning European champion. And then Morgan and Lamb. Who's going to get the victory? Let's find out. It's a clean start, and away we go. Cracking getaway from the right side of the field as they go into the first corner through the chicane, and there's no issue as they go through into the lead. It's Lawrence in front of Harvey. Ravenscroft is still there or thereabouts in third position, trying to hang on in front of Oliver Hodgson, and has managed to get through as they go over the Litchfield Bridge, down across the right side, down the back straight now. A really impressive run as Gus Lawrence leads the way. Kilner's going to try and get his move on the inside of Elliot Harvey in the hairpin, and he's got there. Ravenscroft still behind in fourth position in front of Kimber and Hodgson. Then Derek Morgan. There's a proper jockey for position further back as carts are going all over the place. And would you believe it, the bad luck streak continues for Luke Whitehead as he is the one who ends up at the back of the queue. A lot of jostling now. There's a bit of contact further back in the pack. But Luke Whitehead has got straight back on the horse and is already starting to pick off a couple of drivers. So he's not going to be intimidated. They come through the Mike Wilson complex up in front. Look at the gap Gus Lawrence has already built on Cole Kilner. That's a second already, at least. Over the line goes Lawrence. He leads comfortably in front of Kilner, Harvey, Ravenscroft, Kimber, Morgan, Westover, Malin and Pendlebury, with Axel Laflamme in the top 10. But already after a cracking opening lap, Gus Lawrence has a 1.3 second lead. That's a massive achievement after just the first lap. And there's a warning flag already gone out. That is for Charlie Lamb. So I'm not sure what Charlie Lamb has done. On the 59, who is up in the mid-head pack. He's up at the tail. He's up in towards the midfield, actually, is Charlie Lamb. So he's obviously battling away with the likes of Teddy Pritchard-Williams and Max Jean at the moment. So we'll see what happens for the drivers. The battle comes off the chicane as they go down the short stretch to the Bobby Game corner. Challenge for second place. They're squabbling so much for second. They are losing the toe of the leader. Gus Lawrence is going to be given a free pass to get away as Ravenscroft comes up to third place on the back of Kilner with Kimber going through to fourth. It's a long race, I know, but they don't want to let Gus Lawrence get too far ahead. Through the chicane, Kilner second, Ravenscroft third, from Kimber, Morgan, Harvey, Westover, Malin, Axel Laflamme and Thomas Turner in the top 10. Then it's Hudson from Pendlebury, Zagazeta. Hodgson is in the top 10, but difficulties with his transponder. So he's actually in front of Thomas Turner. Then it's Hudson, Pendlebury, Zagazeta, Ushijima, Pritchard Williams, Lamb, Jean, Tillett, Wood and Gordon. They go through on the far side. And back on the power, Ravenscroft having made his way through to second place now, signals to the rest of the cavalry. Look, I know how to win. I could beat this guy. Let's go get him. But he's into second position. That's a massive gap to make up. That's over 2 seconds now. Gus Lawrence back to Clayton Ravenscroft. That's going to be such a difficult gap to make up. I'm not entirely sure that's possible. But if anybody can, Clayton Ravenscroft can. They've got a long race to go, of course. 12 minutes left, plus the additional lap. So they've got to keep pushing. They've got to keep hoping that there is a chance to close him up. Through the chicane, under the Litchfield Bridge, and it's Lawrence from Ravenscroft, Kilner, Kimber, Morgan, Westover, Malin, Harvey, Turner, Laflamme, Hudson, and Oliver Hodgson, who's now down to 12th position in front of Teddy Pritchard Williams, and then Pendlebury, Zagazeta, Lamb, and Ushijima. Down the back straight. Morgan's going to make a big lunge onto Cole Kilner. That's not quite going to work cleanly, but he manages to get through regardless. And going with him is the 16 of Louis Westover. Round to the far side, they both drift out wide. Morgan cuts back across in time to keep Cole Kilner back. And Westover trying desperately to hold off Malin. But Westover has done it through the flow of the chicane. Just hanging on in there. Very tight battle. And now the leader comes through. Gus Lawrence is still 2 seconds clear of Clayton Ravenscroft in second place. That's a massive gap in this final. Lawrence over the line, wait 2 seconds, and there is Ravenscroft, who's just set the fastest lap of 58.54 to get the gap to just under 2 seconds. So give him his due, Clayton Ravenscroft. He is trying every single trick in the book to charge up to the back of Gus Lawrence. He's on qualifying pace in order to try and get that gap down to Lawrence. Fastest first sector of the race so far belongs to that of Ollie Greetham, who's done a 20.29. Ravenscroft not getting a fast first sector this time. There's a lot of muscling around in the midfield as that's Reese Ushijima getting forced out wide. Oh, we've had it off up at the hairpin. And that's game over for... Now, who is that that's gone? We've had an off at the hairpin, and I can't quite see who it is that we're missing from the fray. It's one of the Dan Holland Racing drivers, I believe. So we've had an incident there. I think that's Westover. That looks to me like Louis Westover. So Westover has not come through on the second sector, and that's a disaster for Louis Westover. What a shame for the Dan Holland driver. It all got too close for comfort as they jostled away for position, and now Westover is the one who gets spat out. Yet more bad luck at the start of the British Kart Championships for Louis Westover. What a disaster for him. Meanwhile, Gus Lawrence is being caught little by little by Clayton Ravenscroft and Mark Kimber. I think the two of them are going to join forces to get after Gus Lawrence. That's the European IAME Winter Cup champion in second place from 2018 versus the reigning IAME Euro Series champion, Mark Kimber. And they will battle away to close up on Gus Lawrence in the lead of the race. But it's definitely not sorted yet. They know just how tough it's going to be from here on in. But what a battle this is turning into. Lawrence leads. The gap was 1.8. It's down to 1.5. Even Mark Kimber is within 2 seconds now. So Lawrence is being caught rapidly by Clayton Ravenscroft and Mark Kimber. Cole Kilner is fourth. Then it's Morgan, Turner, Laflamme, Hudson, Harvey, Hodgson, Pritchard Williams and Lewis Malin from Matthias Zagazeta. They are catching Gus Lawrence. He's not able to run consistently on his own out front, especially with Ravenscroft and Kimber working tag team. They are going to try and catch him up. And there is time to do it. 8 minutes and 20. They are taking about 0.2 of a second per lap out of him. With the gap down to 1.5, that's enough mathematically to catch him. And they know it's going to be hard to get past, but at least they are doing the hard work. The rest of the midfield still maneuvering their way around the circuit, trying to make a good impression on this middle section of the race so that they can get as much out of it as is physically possible. Down the main straight, the drivers continue to slide through. Gus Lawrence in front of Ravenscroft, Kimber, Kilner, Morgan, Turner, Laflamme, Hudson and Hodgson. Lewis Malin is 10th from Pritchard Williams and Matthias Zagazeta. So down the back straight. Ravenscroft has got the gap down to 1.4 seconds between him. And there goes Kimber on the inside of Ravenscroft. He clearly feels that Ravenscroft on the back of Kimber is going to be the faster way of catching up to Lawrence. Kimber's got the right idea. He signals to Ravenscroft, come on, we can get him. I'm going faster than you, so let's do this. Let's work together. The gap is down to 1.4. So can Kimber in second and Ravenscroft in third charge after the race leader Lawrence with enough speed and momentum to catch up to him? Looks like they're going to trade places a couple of times in their bid to close up on the race leader, with a rather heartbroken Louis Westover at the side of the circuit watching on in disbelief that he's not part of this action anymore. So Lawrence leads, Kimber, Ravenscroft, Kilner, Morgan, Turner, Laflamme, Hudson, Malin and Hodgson in front of Malin, I should say. Then Pritchard Williams, Zagazeta, Matt Armstrong and Morgan Porter. A poor lap for Charles Lamb. He's dropped all the way down to 23rd as the battle for 4th place intensifies. Up the inside comes Thomas Turner. Kilner's going to drop back to 6th initially. Oh, Derek Morgan's going to defend the position. There's rubbing of wheels. And up the inside of both of them goes Axel Laflamme. Laflamme dives through and gets 5th position. Opportunistic as you like from Axel Laflamme. Dives through and gets the place. Really good run on the parallel chassis from him. And there's not a lot really you can argue with about that one. Laflamme saw the opportunity as Kilner and Morgan were tussling with each other. Turner having already got through. And now Laflamme repeating the feat. Lawrence leads. The gap is down to a second between the leader and Mark Kimber. Gus Lawrence leads, but Kimber and Ravenscroft are now a second back. They've taken half the gap out of him. And the more they push together, the closer that gap's going to get. So Mark Kimber is still pushing hard with Ravenscroft behind him. They are getting that gap down to Gus Lawrence. 4th is now Turner from Laflamme, Kilner, Morgan, Hudson, Hodgson, Malin, Pritchard Williams, Zagazeta and Matt Armstrong from Morgan Porter, Elliot Harvey, Alex Lloyd, Archie Tillett, Luke Whitehead, Nelson King and Jensen Brown in the top 20. Some terrific racing in Senior X30. Massive potential from these guys to keep pushing forward. But it was always going to be tough. They know how much is at stake in this British Championship first round. They want to be at the sharp end. But Kimber and Ravenscroft are the men doing the hard work. Closing up on Gus Lawrence. The gap is definitely less than a second now. 0.7 of a second. Lawrence comes through. Kimber and Ravenscroft right in behind. They go under the Litchfield Bridge. Switching it up. Up the top of the hill. Round through the left-hander. Up towards the right. And this is going swimmingly well. They continue down the back straight. Ravenscroft doing everything he needs to, just edging Kimber down the back straight, closer to Gus Lawrence. And this is going to be a three-way fight for the victory. Turner, Laflamme, Kilner and Derek Morgan are just not able to run at the same consistent pace. Although that first sector, they were all pretty much even with each other. But still, these two pushing it like crazy to get that gap down to Gus Lawrence. Lawrence pushing as hard as he can in the first sector. A new personal best first sector for Lawrence, but Kimber and Ravenscroft are still going faster. So it's Lawrence from Kimber and Ravenscroft. Then a big gap back to 4th place, Thomas Turner. Then Laflamme in front of Kilner, Morgan and Hudson. From Oliver Hodgson, Malin, Pritchard Williams, Zagazeta and Armstrong. They go across the line again. Time ticking away. 4 minutes plus the additional lap to go. And the gap is down to 0.6 of a second between Gus Lawrence and Mark Kimber. Give them 2 more laps and this will be a three-way fight. Without any shadow of doubt. Ravenscroft working hard to edge Kimber closer. He's got plenty of speed off the throttle. He blends back on the power through the first hairpin. And he's getting so close to Lawrence now. This is going to be a three-way showdown in a lap and a half. Into the chicane. Kimber and Ravenscroft working the magic. Ravenscroft's out in 3rd place. He's the danger man here because Kimber and Ravenscroft can do all the hard work, get closer to your leader, Gus Lawrence. And when Kimber makes his move, Ravenscroft can be ready to pounce. And if he times it right, he can mug them both. Down the main straight. That's less than half a second now as Lawrence has got no answer for Kimber and Ravenscroft in their current speed. Kimber, new fastest lap, 57.82. A really fast lap. And give it down the back straight. It could even come with a first move. Kimber and Ravenscroft could both sidle past Gus Lawrence if the move is right. Now to the hairpin. Lawrence is hesitant on the brakes. He's a little bit more cautious than these two behind. Kimber and Ravenscroft throwing caution to the winds as they get back on terms with Lawrence. What was a 2-second gap is now inches. Into the left, into the right at the chicane and down towards Bobby Game Corner. Lawrence knows now that they're right on his tail. He doesn't need to look at the scoreboard to see how close the gap is. He can hear them on his back bumper. But Lawrence knows that it's going to be very tight from here on in. 2.25 minutes left, plus the additional lap. It's a three-way fight now, down the main straight. Lawrence, Kimber, Ravenscroft. They absolutely nose the tail now. Who's going to make the big leap of faith? Will it be Ravenscroft on Kimber or Kimber on Lawrence? Meanwhile, it is Lawrence, Kimber and Ravenscroft up front, and there's a warning flag for Matthias Zagazeta. Now, what's happened to Alex Lloyd? Alex Lloyd appears to have fallen from the fray. Where's Alex Lloyd gone? Apparently, Alex Lloyd is out of the race now. He joins Thomas Wood and Louis Westover. Now, what has happened to Alex Lloyd? I haven't seen his kart pulling off, and I certainly haven't seen any yellow flags anywhere. So he might have had an off on the far side of the circuit up at the... Oh, hang on a minute. That is Ravenscroft through on Kimber and Lawrence, and now he's going for the lead. Lawrence coming through to second position. So they've already started the battle. With only 1 minute and 20 left, Ravenscroft hits the front, Lawrence hits second, and Kimber down to third. I mentioned that Ravenscroft was going to be the danger man, sat in third place. He did all the hard work with Kimber, and now he's gone through to the lead. Lawrence in second, but leading is so hard. You've got to keep that focus up. But Alex Lloyd has not come through. So Alex Lloyd has had a terrible lap by the look of it. The 48 is there. Or has he got a transponder issue? I haven't seen him pull off the circuit, but he's definitely not down. He has got a transponder issue. My apologies. So Alex Lloyd has made up 13 places on Nelson King. So he is still in position. So a sigh of relief from back home in Mepham, no doubt. But Alex Lloyd is still pushing away in the mix of the battle with Derek Morgan. In fact, Morgan makes a move, and Alex Lloyd repeats it as he battles away with the 37 of Elliot Harvey. What a disappointment this has been for Elliot Harvey. Just watched him tumble down the order over the course of the race, down into what is now 15th position. But here come the leaders. 2 laps to go, and it's Ravenscroft from Lawrence and Kimber. And with this sort of momentum, it's going to be hard for Lawrence to get back on terms with Ravenscroft and make up that 0.4 of a second deficit he now has to him. Kimber, meanwhile, is absolutely determined to get back up into that second place spot. But Lawrence has a renewed vigour. Ravenscroft has mugged them both. He's riding the crest of confidence from that. And Kimber must feel utterly betrayed down to third position. Fourth place is Turner. Then it's Kilner, Malin, Laflamme, Hudson, Oliver Hodgson, and Teddy Pritchard-Williams in front of Zagazeta and Porter, who is up 21 places. Morgan Porter. An absolutely meteoric job from Morgan Porter, who started this race all the way back in 33rd position on the grid. But a very impressive work from him to move his way back through. A good move there from Luke Whitehead as he gets on the inside of Nelson King to move up positions. Across the line and into the last lap go Ravenscroft, Lawrence and Kimber. Lawrence has not given up. He's managed to get the gap down to 0.3 of a second rather than 4. But Ravenscroft is on a qualifying lap out in front. He does not want to lose this race now. And still the battles continue. So now they come down the back straight, and it's going to be a relentless battle to the flag as Lawrence continues to try and get the gap down to Ravenscroft, but it looks to me as though he's done everything he can. We said coming into this one that with 2 heat wins apiece, there was always going to be one driver who would have to give best and end up as the runner-up between these two. And when it mattered, Ravenscroft got the gap down to Lawrence and forced his way back into contention with Mark Kimber, leapt on the opportunity, grabbed the lead, and has never looked back out of the final chicane. And Clayton Ravenscroft wins round 1 in brilliant fashion. That's a magic moment for Ravenscroft. Second place for Lawrence, third for Mark Kimber. Turner is fourth from Kilner, Malin, Laflamme, Hudson and Hodgson. And rounding out the top 10, a massive fight back from Teddy Pritchard-Williams. An even bigger one from Morgan Porter. Up 22 places. Zagazeta is 12th. A very impressive Alex Lloyd comes up 16 positions through the grid. Derek Morgan is 14th. From Archie Tillett, who's up 12 places. Harvey slips to 16th. Then it is Luke Whitehead, who makes up 9, despite being last on lap 1. Luke Whitehead has charged his way back to 17th in Senior X30. That's an amazing achievement. And then in 18th place, it is Nelson King from Matt Armstrong and Jensen Brown, who's up 12 places. Charlie Lamb and Matthew Hudson. Sean Butcher struggles to 23rd. And then Piers Henderson in front of Ryan Green and Alex Pendlebury. Reese Ushijima and Jack Gordon from Alex Wang, Max Jean, Ollie Greetham and Eduardo Cosateng, with the 2 retirements, namely Tom Wood and Louis Westover. But a very exciting race, I think you'll all agree, and Clayton Ravenscroft taking a deserved victory in front of Gus Lawrence and Mark Kimber. There'll be trophies for them later on. But now we have an amazing build-up ahead of us to the last race of the day. The IAME Cadet Final, the one that so many people up and down this paddock have been waiting for, is nearly upon us.
Hi, I'm Tom Ingram and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Jake Villeneuve. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Bruno Senna. You're listening to Downforce Radio. Hi, I'm Chris Hoy and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Landon Norris and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Getting ready for the last race of the day then here at the first round of the 2019 Motorsport UK British Kart Championships for the IAME classes. It is IAME Cadets Final that will greet us in the sunny haze of the PF International Circuit. It is a glorious April afternoon here on this Saturday, and a wonderful sky greets us with a lusty breeze and a beautiful skyline across the Lincolnshire countryside. Temperatures about 13 degrees Celsius at the moment. Track temperature will probably be a little bit more than that, considering how much of the heat has now been beating onto the circuit. Probably give it about 16, 17 degrees track temperature, I would say, which is prime conditions for the drivers getting ready for this IAME Cadet Final. And it has been one heck of a road to get us to this point. Sonny Smith and Harley Keeble have been the form makers in this IAME Cadet field over the course of their first 2 races of the day. Aidan Neate, though, bouncing back with a brilliant victory in his heat to get himself into 3rd position, along with his teammate Vinnie Phillips, will be on the 2nd row of the grid. It will be a very interesting battle. But in that top 10, all 10 of them can reach the podium, in my view, and at least half of them can win this race. There are so many stories to tell you. Sonny Smith and Harley Keeble on that front row for the Oliver Ronan Motorsport team, and we hope Oliver enjoyed himself out in the Rome E-Prix, not giving away the result. You'll have to go home and watch that one. Aidan Neate and Vinnie Phillips on the 2nd row of the grid. Brandon Carr and Harry Jr. Burgoyne on the 2nd row of the grid for the Oliver Ronan Motorsport team. Next up, it's the privateer. 7th on the grid, Macaulay Bishop, with a genuine chance to crack the podium today, alongside Kian Nakamura-Berta, the newly crowned IAME and Honda Cadet champion at Trent Valley Kart Club's Winter Series. Then rounding out the top 10, it's Theo Robinson and his Irish teammate, the former Irish Cadet champion, Alex O'Grady. So many top races in this field. And even just outside the top 10, there are stars aplenty. Let's tell you the grid in full, as for the last time today, the green flag flies atop the gantry, and the IAME Cadet drivers come out for the 20th and final race of the day. And it's the final in the British Championships. Sonny Smith and Harley Keeble on the front row from Aidan Neate and Vinnie Phillips. Brandon Carr and Harry Jr. Burgoyne are on row 3 from Macaulay Bishop and Kian Nakamura-Berta. Leo Robinson and Alex O'Grady round out the top 10 from Maximus Hall and Finn McLaughlin. Nathan Ty and Cathal Clark, and then it's Ella Stevens and Archie Clark. Ethan Jeff Hall and Lewis Werrell from Zach Knight and Mason Rudman. Kai Bacchini is beside Cian Geraghty, with Eden Spanswick beside Lewis Bird. William Knight and Hadi Mamasi from Joe Katsantonis and Ewan Downing. Sky Parker is beside Newman Chi, then Jack Cunningham, Fraser Anderson, Ben Smith and George Edgar. The drivers are battling for supremacy here in IAME Cadet. They've been battling all day long against the cold, against the racing, and it's been absolutely sensational throughout. But now it's the big one, the IAME Cadet Final in the first round of the 2019 Motorsport UK IAME Cadet British Kart Championship. And obviously, this is the first of 2 finals over the weekend. They'll have to do the same procedure as today all over again tomorrow. Fresh time qualifying, fresh heats, fresh final. But this is the first test of their character for the 2019 season. Smith, Keeble, Neate, Phillips, Carr, Burgoyne, Bishop, Nakamura-Berta, Robinson and O'Grady in the top 10. Plenty of stars will make their play in this final race of the day. Is it going to be a clean start for the final? No, not yet. It's a false start. Obviously, the drivers are very much under pressure as they dial themselves in for the battle. You've got to remember that for many of these youngsters, this is their first appearance in a major British Championship event. Aged between 8 and 12 years old, these guys. And they've all got so much youth and exuberance and charisma. But coming into the British Kart Championships for the first time, it's always going to be high octane, high drama, and very high tension. So the drivers are obviously getting themselves dialed in. They have to focus on their pre-race prep again. Brake temperature, tyre temperature, getting themselves composed, mentally ready and focused for the job in hand. For a lot of these drivers, this is their first British Kart Championship final. But you can't learn how to win one unless you throw yourself in there and learn by doing. There's so much talent on this grid. It's one of the most competitive cadet grids I have ever seen at national championship level. And it's great to see that this first round of the 2019 Motorsport UK British Kart Championships for IAME Cadet has given us so much quality. Smith, Keeble, Neate, Phillips, Carr, Burgoyne, Bishop, Nakamura-Berta, Robinson, O'Grady, then Hall, McLaughlin, Ty, Clark, Stevens, Clark, Jeff Hall, Werrell, Knight and Rudman. Bacchini and Geraghty in the mix there as well. Now they're going to get dialed in. Is this going to be the start? It is! We're racing to the first corner, and it's a cracking start from the right side. It's going to be Smith, Neate and Carr as they go through the first corner, with Burgoyne trying to tuck in round the outside, and Bishop's made a flyer too. Up into about P4, I think, round the far side. So as they go through the hairpin for the first time, it's already a jostle. And up into the lead. That's one of the fusions. That's got to be Aidan Neate. He's charged his way through and up down to the back straight. Aidan Neate has hit the front. A fantastic start to the race from Aidan Neate. And now they get their way down the straight. Brandon Carr gesturing to Aidan Neate that they want to get away and fly out front. Vinnie Phillips through into third position. There's not going to be any team domination today. Harry Junior Burgoyne up the inside, very late on the inside of Vinnie Phillips, makes a late decision. Harley Keeble's going to get the roll off the power, and he gets into third position. Meanwhile, Sonny Smith is going to make the bid to get up the inside of Vinnie Phillips. He gets through, and so does Macaulay Bishop. Bishop gets through on the inside line. Great bit of driving from the privateer. So they come through on the far side, and it's Aidan Neate in front of Harley Keeble in the early stages. Now, Harley Keeble running well. That's Brandon Carr, in second place. Then it's Harley Keeble in P3. But Brandon Carr is going away with Aidan Neate. The two of them want to disappear into the distance and make this a two-horse race. So it's Neate, Carr, Keeble, Burgoyne. Smith is there in fifth position in front of Bishop. Maximus Hall, then Leo Robinson. Vinnie Phillips down to ninth in front of Nakamura Berta, who slips to 10th place. A difficult end to the lap for them. They go three wide with Maximus Hall. Up the inside, into the bridge, and Maximus Hall defends valiantly. He's got two of them to his inside line now. They're going to be three wide as they battle for 8th position. But Phillips is going to get through, and so is Nakamura Berta. Maximus Hall decides, well, it's a long race. We've got 13 minutes plus the lap to go. I'm just going to take my time and get back onto it. So some great racing ahead of us still. Neate and Carr. Then it is Keeble, Burgoyne, Smith and Macaulay Bishop. The privateer is going with the big boys as they run down the far side of the circuit. It's 5 drivers representing a works team entrant, and then in 6th position, it is the privateer, the lad and dad man, Macaulay Bishop, still pushing hard. As they come through the chicane onto the main straight. This is a good run from Aidan Neate. He charges forward. 8 is second. 9 is third. That's Carr and Keeble. Burgoyne is fourth. 5th is Smith and 6th is Bishop. The top 6 have broken away from the rest of the pack and left the 7th place man, Leo Robinson, with work to do. There's a warning flag, and it's for the 51 of Nakamura Berta. Looks as though Nathan Ty and Hadi Mamassi have got into an incident. They're down at the back. Jack Cunningham struggling as well. So Nathan Ty and Hadi Mamassi appear to have gone backwards down the order. And here goes the challenge for the lead. Keeble's going to push his teammate Brandon Carr into the lead of the race. And is there room to go through for Burgoyne? Yes, there is. And Smith is going to come through as well, and Aidan Neate. Macaulay Bishop's just waiting for an opportunity. Neate runs out wide. Bishop gets through into 5th position. And all of a sudden, it's Oliver Rowland Motorsport 1, 2, 3, 4. Bishop is 5th and Neate is 6th. So a very amazing change of course of events then in the first couple of laps of the race. We're only on lap 3, and the Oliver Rowland Motorsport squadron finds themselves in the first 4 places with Brandon Carr and Harley Keeble out in front of Harry Junior Burgoyne and Sonny Smith, with Macaulay Bishop in 5th position. Aidan Neate, the former leader, now down in 6th place in front of his teammate who is helping him along, Leo Robinson, charging forward. Now, watch Macaulay Bishop in 5th position under the Litchfield Bridge. He's already starting to get into the back of Sonny Smith. He wants the podium, so he's going to work with Sonny Smith to move slightly further forward and get into the toe of the battle. What if he could outfox the team drivers as a privateer? That really would be sensational. Many people have said these days that you just can't win in karting at the top British level unless you're with a big team. Hogwash. You just need the right driver. Here they come into the hairpin. So far, so good for Brandon Carr in front of Harley Keeble. Harry Junior Burgoyne, Sonny Smith in 4th place. 5th position, the 68 of Macaulay Bishop, right in behind the works drivers. And then we've got the 4 fusions battling away to catch them. Neate, Robinson, Phillips, Nakamura Berta. They're all working together. And they will try and catch up to those top 5 in the same guise that Kimber and Ravencroft did to Gus Lawrence in the senior final. Here they come onto the final chicane. And it's going great guns for Carr and Keeble. They have a very good run at the moment. Continuing that battle further forward. They charge through to the chicane. Harry Junior Burgoyne in 3rd position from Sonny Smith and Macaulay Bishop. Then it's Aidan Neate in 6th position from Robinson, Phillips and Nakamura Berta. Is there a change of order in amongst the fusion drivers? It looks like there is, as I believe that is Robinson making the move on Aidan Neate to move up into 6th position. Aidan Neate is still there and still very fast indeed. Oh, no, sorry. It's Nakamura Berta who's made the move on Robinson. My apologies. As up the inside, there goes Vinnie Phillips to move his way up the order. Oh, Phillips has got to the front of the queue. So it was Phillips on the charge. Phillips, Nakamura Berta. And then it is Aidan Neate in front of Leo Robinson. So a big shuffle between the Fusion drivers. Maximus Hall is now 10th in front of Finn McLaughlin and Ethan Jeff Hall. Then it's Werrell, Knight. That is Zach, by the way. And then it is the 16 that is in there next. That is Alex O'Grady in front of Kai Bacchini. So they battle away in the mid-pack. On through for the far side of the course. A really good run of the Oliver Rowland Motorsport squad in the top 4. But Macaulay Bishop is hanging around them like a bad habit down the main straight. This is going to be fascinating in the last 9 minutes. Through the chicane, under the Litchfield Bridge. Looks as though there's going to be a pass, and there is Macaulay Bishop up the inside of Sonny Smith and moves up into 4th position. Smith is going to get him straight back on the undercut. Bishop doesn't panic. He just falls back in and goes, okay, now you know what I'm made of. Let's have a proper race. Down the back straight. Phillips and Nakamura Berta edging closer to the top 5. Bishop tries again on Sonny Smith, and this time he's through properly into 4th position. Not that Sonny Smith's going to be happy about that. He's going to want to try and edge further forward. But Bishop is insistent. I can catch these guys. Work with me and tag onto the back, and we'll be fighting for the victory before you know it. Up to the chicane. Carr in front of Keeble. Burgoyne in 3rd place. 4th is Macaulay Bishop. Sonny Smith in 5th position. And then it is Vinnie Phillips and Kim Nakamura Berta from Aidan Neate and Leo Robinson. In 10th place, it is still Maximus Hall from Finn McLaughlin and Ethan Jeff Hall. They roll off the power in the Mike Wilson complex once again and back down the main straight. This is going to be a tough battle to pick off. They go down the main straight. Brandon Carr, Harley Keeble and Harry Jr. Burgoyne. Then Macaulay Bishop, who's actually pulled a couple of kart lengths away from Sonny Smith as they are being caught by by Vinnie Phillips and Kian Nakamura Berta. They roll off the power at the top of the hill. And Bishop has actually got some legs on these guys up front. And up the inside goes Aidan Neate. Vinnie Phillips. Vinnie Phillips on the inside and gets through into 5th position. Kian Nakamura Berta is going to squeeze through as well. Aidan Neate is going to be next on Sonny Smith. Interesting though, Kian Nakamura Berta versus Sonny Smith again. This time it is for P6. Sonny Smith tries again to break the deadlock. He doesn't want to lose too many places to the 2 guys behind. He wants to still be part of this victory battle, but it looks as though it's going to be played out between the 5 drivers up the road from him. Kian Nakamura Berta in 6th position has only just broken through, but Sonny Smith doesn't want to lose more places than that. So they're going to come through off the turn, out of the chicane, and down the main straight once again. The top 3 remains unchanged. Brandon Carr from Harley Keeble and Harry Jr. Burgoyne. Then Macaulay Bishop, the privateer. Problems for Cunningham by the look of it, as he is trailing around at the back. And he's not that slow usually, so I think Jack Cunningham has got a problem of some kind. So he could be touring in to retire, unfortunately. But it's Carr, Keeble and Burgoyne. Then it is Bishop from Phillips and Nakamura Berta. Sonny Smith, Aidan Neate, Leo Robinson and Finn McLaughlin. Then Maximus Hall in front of Lewis Werrell and Ethan Jeff Hall. Zach Knight, Alex O'Grady, Kai Bacchini and Lewis Bird. Then it's Archie Clark in front of Cahill Clark from Ella Stevens and William Knight. Cian Geraghty, Mason Rudman, Joe Katzentonis. Then Nathan Tye, who's making the progress back. Eden Spanswick, Newman Chi, Sky Parker, who won the repechage. Fraser Anderson, George Edgar, Hadi Mamasi, Ewan Downing, Ben Smith and Jack Cunningham. Now, up into 4th place has gone Aidan Neate. He's made the move on Macaulay Bishop. Very nice work too. But Bishop has got very wise on this. He's decided to tag in behind as Alex O'Grady makes a bold move on the inside of Zach Knight and makes that work beautifully in the middle of the sector. But Macaulay Bishop has got back onto the tail of Aidan Neate. He realises that if there's anybody that's going to charge up to the top 3, it's going to be a Fusion. So he's going to tag in behind and hope that Kian Nakamura Berta doesn't get too close. So Bishop is working the magic with Aidan Neate. A bit of an ally they've got in Macaulay Bishop now. Having made his way through to 4th position, Bishop has decided, okay, I see the light of day. I'm going to work on with Aidan Neate and we're going to catch the 3 guys in front. The thing is, there's no team orders within this squad. All 3 drivers want to win the race. They are teammates, but they all want to win. So when they start battling, Neate and Bishop are going to be in prime position in 4th and 5th place to try and capitalise when they do. And we're getting closer and closer to that eventuality. 5 minutes to go now. Still, Brandon Carr leads the way from Harley Keeble. Keeble still trying to edge him away. Harry Jr. Burgoyne tagging in for good measure. Macaulay Bishop working with Aidan Neate, who is in 4th place ahead of him. They go through the S's, but having caught up to Aidan Neate, And Macaulay Bishop, Kier Nakamura Berta will want a bit of a battle on his hands now. So here's the top 4. Carr, Keeble, Burgoyne, Vinnie Phillips, Macaulay Bishop, Kier Nakamura Berta and Aidan Neate. So Vinnie Phillips, having fought his way through to 4th position on Macaulay Bishop, now has Kier Nakamura Berta breathing down his neck. But Vinnie Phillips is going full guns blazing here under the Litchfield Bridge. Vinnie Phillips running well in P4 as they roll off the car once again. Through the corner, up the inside. That's Kier Nakamura Berta making his move on Macaulay Bishop, and he gets through. So now it's Vinnie Phillips in 4th, Nakamura Berta in 5th. Macaulay Bishop's still there in the top 6 and still competitive, but now it's looking a lot closer. Oh, and a bit of a moment as Bishop tries to get on the inside of Kier Nakamura Berta. They both drift wide. Neate is through past Nakamura Berta. Robinson is through past Bishop. Bishop has his hand in the air as if to say what happened there, but he tags in on the back of the Fusion Squadron, and he's getting back into the battle again. Sonny Smith is behind him, down in 8th place, but he just doesn't seem to have the same sort of pace. But now the danger man is Vinnie Phillips in 4th position. He is getting that gap down to the 3 leaders very rapidly, and Vinnie Phillips is back on the march. Here he comes through the final chicane, right in behind the top 3. And is that still Carr in front of Keeble? For the moment, yes. But the minute they start hustling, Harry Junior Burgoyne's going to have a chance, and so too is Vinnie Phillips. With Aidan Neate having got through into 5th position, Kier Nakamura Berta now 6th from Robinson, Bishop and Sonny Smith. Then Finn McLaughlin, who's come up to 10th place in front of Ethan Jeff Hall and Maximus Hall. Then Lewis Werrell, Alex O'Grady, Zach Knight, Lewis Bird, Kai Bacchini, and then Archie and Cahill Clark. Ella Stevens and Nathan Tye from Will Knight and Cian Geraghty. Joe Katsantonis and Mason Rudman, then Newman Chi and Eden Spanswick as Bishop gets up at the inside again of Leo Robinson, and that puts him back into 7th position. So Bishop is still on the march, but then so too is Vinnie Phillips, chasing down the 3 men in front because they've now changed the order. Harry Junior Burgoyne is up to 2nd place past Harley Keeble, and that leaves Keeble vulnerable to Vinnie Phillips. And Phillips knows it. He's going to be on the attack. They go into the Mike Wilson complex. And we're getting to the business end of the race now. 2 minutes and 25 to go. Harry Junior Burgoyne is not going to wait around. He's going to charge after Brandon Carr and go for the lead of the race. They come out of the final corner, down the main straight. And it's Carr in front of Burgoyne, Keeble, Phillips, Neate, Nakamura Berta, Bishop and Robinson. They've stretched out the gap to 2 seconds clear of Sonny Smith behind. Up to 3rd place. That is going to be Vinnie Phillips. He makes the move. He's there. Vinnie Phillips into the 3rd position spot. Now the race is really going to be on from here on in. The 2 leaders, Carr and Burgoyne, are going to have just themselves to handle. But Vinnie Phillips is on a charge, and now he's going to get some support from Harley Keeble to get further up towards the top 2. A big dive up the inside from Aidan Neate. He's into 4th position. Great work from Aidan Neate. Now we've got a proper spectacle on our hands as back up the inside comes Harley Keeble onto the inside of Aidan Neate. Neate gets chopped across by Brandon Carr. Watch out because here comes Kier Nakamura Berta. He's going to slice back up the inside and they bang wheels. Up to the inside line now comes Leo Robinson, having got back past on Macaulay Bishop. Bishop just needs to hang back here and let these guys squabble. He could pick up 3 or 4 places here. They get through the Mike Wilson complex. There is a little bit of fisticuffs, and it looks as though Bishop has picked off at least one of them. I think Harley Keeble has gone backwards down the order. Bishop has got through and now tags onto the back of Leo Robinson. So that is Carr, Burgoyne and Phillips now battling for the victory up front. 4th is Neate in front of Nakamura Berta. They're 2 seconds back now after that squabble from Robinson and Bishop. And then it is Keeble, Smith and McLaughlin. But they're coming down the back straight with what is going to be the penultimate lap of the race beginning. This is where the race gets on with it, and Vinnie Phillips into 2nd place, as we know now, having got past Harry Junior Burgoyne, is now charging after the victory. Harry Junior Burgoyne looks back and realises there's a massive chasm between himself and Neate in 4th position, so now he could start going after that 2nd place spot. But if he works with Vinnie Phillips for the last half of the lap, there could still be a fight for the victory as Nakamura Berta gets on the inside of Aidan Neate. He gets through to 4th position. Every man for himself now with a lap and a half to go. And as they come through to the Mike Wilson complex, this last lap is going to be heroic. As out in front, Brandon Carr is trying to hang on to the lead that he's taken since the first lap. Here comes Brandon Carr, but Vinnie Phillips is right behind him. Here we go, last lap, and it's anybody's guess as to who's going to get the victory from here on in. Brandon Carr, Vinnie Phillips underneath him at the Litchfield Bridge. Does he go for the move? No. He protects the inside line. Brandon Carr right round the outside. Vinnie Phillips is trying to get the move, and he's got it. Vinnie Phillips grabs the lead round the outside of the hairpin. Vinnie Phillips leads. What a manoeuvre. Sensational round the outside of the third corner. And Harry Junior Burgoyne has slipped through into second place as well. Vinnie Phillips with the move of the day in IAME Cadet. Can he hang on to it? Leads into the second sector. Phillips going strong. Burgoyne right behind him. Brandon Carr in third position. They squabble for the inside line. Vinnie Phillips holding on to it. Harry Junior Burgoyne's going to get a good run on the undercut. Down towards Bobby Game corner with assistance from his teammate. How is that going to play out? It looks like only two of them have come through. One of them is a spinner. It's an Oliver Roller Motorsport Kart. And into the lead has gone Junior Burgoyne, I think it is, that's come through. Vinnie Phillips in second position, charging for the line. And it's going to be Harry... No, it's not. It's Brandon Carr. Brandon Carr's hung on just in front of Vinnie Phillips. Unbelievable. Kian Nakamura Berta fights through on the last lap to grab third position in front of Leo Robinson. Sonny Smith is fifth in front of Ethan Jeff Hall, would you believe? When all the dust is settled, Harley Keeble crosses the line down in 19th. A very disappointing end for him. I'm not sure Finn McLaughlin's going to cross the line at all. Looks like he's come off on the last lap somewhere. What a dramatic end to the first race final of IAME Cadet in 2019. But Brandon Carr has done the job and holds on for the victory. Brandon Carr wins it. Second place for Vinnie Phillips and third for Kian Nakamura Berta with Leo Robinson and Sonny Smith. Then Ethan Jeff Hall and Maximus Hall from Harry Junior Burgoyne in 8th place in the end. Disappointment for him after a spin. Aidan Neat down to 9th and Macaulay Bishop is robbed of a top 3 finish in 10th position. Lewis Werrell and Alex O'Grady. Zach Knight gunning well to 13th. Archie Clark in 14th. A great run through the field for Lewis Bird to be 15th place after it all. Carol Clark is 16th in front of Kai Bacchini and Ella Stevens. Then Harley Keeble, a very disappointed 19th in front of Nathan Ty and William Knight from Joe Katsantonis and Kian Geraghty. Mason Rudman and Newman Chi from Eden Spanswick. Then Sky Parker, Hadi Mamasi, Fraser Anderson, George Edgar, Ewan Downing, Jack Cunningham, Finn McLaughlin and Ben Smith both retiring on the last lap of the race. Well, exciting stuff in the Motorsport UK British Car Championships paddock in IAME Cadet and in all the IAME classes. It's been an absolute rout. And we're going to do it all again tomorrow, of course, for the second round of the championship, which kicks off tomorrow with timed qualifying and is going to be absolutely magic. Make sure you set the alarm early and get yourself up and ready for another battle. Time qualifying kicks off at 9:45 tomorrow morning. That's when we're back in the action for round 2. An absolutely brilliant battle. We hope you enjoy it and join with us to experience it once again. I'm Jake Sanson. More action tomorrow.
Hi, I'm Tom Ingram and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Jacques Villeneuve. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Bruno Senna. You're listening to Downforce Radio. Hi, I'm Chris Hoy and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Landon Norris and you're listening to Downforce Radio.